All right. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Got a good sound. All right. Where shall we start?
Oh yeah, I got a list, man. I actually organized my thoughts today.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
well,
something new. That's new for 2018. Anyway, I guess we'll start here. Like, we'll start with a cheap plug at the beginning for
okay,
all the
go ahead.
people that listen. So, for anybody that doesn't know me, most of y'all, if you're on this platform, y'all know who I am. But for the new folks, because real talk, your channel is growing pretty well for organic growth BGS. My name is Edward Anderson. Um, right now, I wouldn't say I'm a content creator, but I do have an out. I'm like Ulysses. I have an outlet on my page, called Edward Anderson. Click on my link. Definitely subscribe. In which we talk about, concepts when it comes to black men, what it takes to build, action steps, just think of it more like a mastermind and an outlet to really just hash things out and say, okay, how you move forward. And that's the key word. How do you move forward? A lot of times in the manosphere, we get hung up on these, I call these like verbal circle jerks. They get marred in these like bullshit concepts that, as far as I'm concerned, allows people to justify their own situation. And I wanted to create a space where black men can kind of put stuff out there, but at the same time, we can kind of determine what policies need to be made amongst black men. Because you got to have a discussion in order to have a policy. Because you got to understand where people are coming from, where the actual details, the really hangups are, before you can try to create something that bridges those gaps. And then when we get to a group of people that understand what that is, then you can form a policy or a code of conduct on a particular subject. So pretty much today, I got a list of stuff I want to straighten out of things that's been talked about, weeks and weeks. Some of it you've heard, some of it you haven't. And then another thing I wanted to talk about too was the Stephen Clark situation,
Uh huh.
because that's out there too. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to get my 2 cents on that. So anyway, that's pretty much my plug. So make sure you subscribe. I'm so far at 450 subscribers. So I'm definitely trying to get to 500 before I actually activate a Facebook group, another Facebook group for the channel. They'll allow, me to kind of verbally interface with people a lot better. So anyway, that is what it is. So anyway, question for you, BGS. Did the Lakers win?
No, they actually lost by one. They turned it over twice at the end of the game. So,
Oh, damn. Do you think they're going to sign Isaiah Thomas?
it depends on how his operation goes on his hip, and it depends on how much money he's asking for. So we'll have to see. That's for him and his agent to work out.
Do you think
If
they
it's too,
should?
uh, if he's cheap enough, sure. Uh, they have all this cap space. I don't think they're going to sign two max free agents. I
Yeah.
think they're going to find, depending on what Julius Randle asks for, and we'll see how Isaiah actually fits in. Because now they got, he's a shooter with, he's a scorer, which is his value, but he does, like I said, he ruins the defense because he's too small, and their defense is predicated on switching. And if when he's out there, they can't switch like they normally do. They have to change the defense. They have to change their whole structure of the team. So we'll
Okay.
see. He
Yeah. I
wasn't.
just wanted to start
They,
off on something like,
yeah, they never planned on. I don't think they ever planned on keeping him in the first place. He was just a way for them to open up cap space.
and what's interesting about Isaiah Thomas, especially as a shorter guy myself,
Hmm.
I don't really, I identify a lot more with, I'd say Stephen Curry than Isaiah Thomas, but I didn't even realize he was like what 5'9". I didn't realize he was that
Yeah,
short.
at best. that's
Yeah.
that's being
So
generous.
what's interesting,
Mm,
and obviously an agent is gonna want to obviously get the max money they can get because their percentage is based on that, but
mm,
Isaiah Thomas has a unique marketability if he positions himself correctly. I mean, a
mm,
lot of things that he's been doing as far as kind of throwing out team business and stuff like that. Because even Kyrie Irving didn't do that. Kyrie
mm,
Irving just bounced.
mm,
Um, and took the heat. But so you can see the difference between like how Kyrie Irving addressed the situation when he was a lot more deeper into it and
Mm-hmm.
a much more key component to it
Mm-hmm.
versus how Isaiah Thomas just kind of went in there and just pretty much snitched. And when you're working with men, it doesn't matter if you don't like LeBron or whatever. Nobody really respects snitches. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Kobe, I respect the hell out of Kobe, but that's always been something that's kind of gotten him in trouble too. My point though is Isaiah ain't Kobe, number one. But number two, that can mess his ability up to actually have an impact on a team later on down the road. Do you agree with that or
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, with him being as small as he is and being in the NBA, he's had to have a chip on his shoulder actually make it this far. So when a team gets a dude like Isaiah, you get what you get because he has to have a feisty chip on his shoulder and that kind of mouth on him to actually because that comes along with the attitude and the bravado that he has to get where he. If he was a nicer guy, he probably wouldn't be in the league.
Oh
So
no, definitely. And
mm,
I can understand that, but there's
mm,
a difference. Like there's lines, there's ways to
yeah,
do what you do and
yeah,
not.
yeah. You have to be around basketball players to understand what I'm talking.
No. I've been around basketball. I've been around basketball players that but they did potentially. I wouldn't say is maybe as good as your son, but I've been
Mm,
around plenty of players that
mm,
had the potential. I would say I've been around plenty of players that have the potential to do very good at D1. It's
mm,
always remains to be seen to go to the NBA, right? But as
mm,
far as having the skill sets, the height, the ability to move the ball
mm,
and do all of that,
mm,
they were the captains of their ship in the schools out here, and
mm,
they ended up going to college. Maybe
mm,
not as good at school as they could because
mm,
they didn't put in the work, but they had the potential.
mm,
Yes, and I can tell you, and I've been around smaller players that let's say they were like 5'7", but they were really good, but they were on varsity in high school as a freshman, but they
mm,
had that kind of chip. And the
mm,
thing is, the chip is fine, but when you go in there and you start blowing people's business out
mm,
like that, just like I'll give you an example. Ray Allen wrote a book recently, and he snitched on Paul Pierce talking about Paul Pierce used to take days off
yeah.
on with players that he felt was inferior, and he didn't agree with that. He has all the right to disagree with that. But see, now a lot of people are going to start coming at Ray Allen like, okay, you're the problem because you want to be the quiet one, but at the same time, when it benefits you, you want to air out people's dirty laundry. So people know that Rondo is a loudmouth and Rondo can rub people the wrong way. But
Mm.
Rondo is not somebody that crosses that line. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
know.
there
Yeah.
is a difference. So my only point with Isaiah Thomas is not even whether that's right or wrong, but Isaiah Thomas has a unique marketability because he
Mm,
is short and he can play offense. So it's like, okay, you've been an all-star, you've been an all-star, you
mm,
can are short. So you
mm,
have a certain marketability that people can connect with you because most basketball players are not as tall as NBA players. It's
mm,
kind of like the same thing that kind of Jeremy Lin had with him being Asian but still having that saying. Now, granted, he's got a whole Chinese market. So my point is, this
mm.
goes back to the money. If Isaiah Thomas was smart,
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas would put himself in a position where he can be on a good team and contribute.
Yeah.
Like he's against being six man. I would take that for now and try to build it up on the other side of the equation. Because if you can get on a team like, let's say you can get on a team like the Warriors or a team that could potentially, or like the Rockets,
Mm.
and you take less money, because you got to understand, less money today is not less money 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're talking about high-strung, high-ego individuals that are always not always the Phi Beta Kappa. They have
No, I,
sometimes they have more ego than brains, and he's one of them guys. He's got more ego than brains, and if you
no,
ever
you think,
if you ever talk to one of these guys, man, sometimes you wonder what kind of world that they listen. What kind of they're almost like rock stars. You can if you live the NBA lifestyle, you playing in the NBA, you got girls coming at you, you got your crew, your posse, and all that kind of stuff, and you don't listen to nobody. And
no, I understand that. No,
yeah,
I
that's
completely,
and that's his problem. He don't listen to nobody. But
I feel like Tristan Thompson is like the amalgamation of that. Like, I feel like Tristan Thompson's in that kind of mindset and it's obvious. to jump to somebody else. Like, I feel like Kim is gonna be the death knell of his career, but he don't give a damn. Even with other players that are better than him that helped him get money, he ain't even listening to LeBron, and he got his check because of LeBron. So
Yeah, well, yeah, but some cats play ball because they're tall. Some cats play because they love it, and some cats play because they're play ball because of their ego. And you have a mix of all those kind of guys. And I've been around cats like Isaiah Thomas, and some are successful, some aren't. He's one of the ones that actually made it. But when you sometimes you wonder what kind of bubble are these guys walking around in, and they don't even realize that they're in a bubble until it bursts, until they broke. Those kind of. You look at what's his name for they used to play for Philly, and they lost all this money.
I know you.
Yeah.
Wow, you didn't cover it.
Huh?
Nah,
so in other words, that's the kind. Even though Iverson was a much better player than Isaiah Thomas, what I'm saying is the same kind of ego.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to, and nobody can tell me shit. And until the career is like over, and it's wow, what happened?
You missed the archetype. You missed the archetype, by the way.
I missed an archetype.
Yeah, you forgot about the crazy ones, like the Meta World Peace, the Latrell.
Oh no, he's not at that level. I would say what's his name?
Rasheed Wallace's.
Well, Rasheed Wallace, and what's his name in New Orleans right now that's hurt? Boogie Cousins.
Yeah,
Boogie Cousins is crazy. Okay, and everybody knows it. That's how come he can't get. Because if 30 teams aren't checking for you, that means there's something wrong with you. Boogie Cousins, he's too good a player for 30 teams not to check for you.
No, yeah. So shout out to TV, where I get a lot of my sports news, because he keeps it 100.
Well, Boogie Cousins is crazy, and as soon as they people weren't checking for him, I said, okay, he's an issue. And the Lakers weren't really checking the first time for Isaiah Thomas. They could have had Isaiah Thomas is basically as a Laker fan, but they wouldn't touch him because he's got he rubs people the wrong way. That's just what it is. He's actually being nice, from what I'm hearing.
But they dealt with Ron Artest, Ron Artest, because Ron Artest was on the Pacers when he did the fight.
Oh yeah, okay. One, he wanted to come. Two, he had talked. He talked to Jerry Buss. Three, they made sure he stayed on his meds.
But they paid him too. It wasn't like they got a deal from they paid him. They overpaid him.
Who? Ron Artest? No,
Ron Artest is an excellent basketball player. No, but I'm talking about with the craziness.
Oh, that was the going rate for Ron Artest. It is, that's what he could have probably gotten more if he stayed in Houston, but he wanted to win a ring.
But I mean, that's Ron. People forget how good Ron Artest was. Man.
Oh, he was real good. Yeah, he's really he's an all-star caliber player.
But another thing too, he's beyond but he's beyond that. He's kind of now. I'm curious what you think about this. He's kind of. He's not. His game is not the exact same, but he's kind of like Kawhi Leonard. He's kind of fits a Kawhi Leonard archetype, because I think he was that effective. I'd say Kawhi Leonard maybe a little bit better because he can do. Ron Artest shot was just ugly, but it went in. But
Ron Artest was a much stronger player, which you don't normally see.
And I'd say because he's better defensively. I'd say that's what probably makes it. I don't know. They're the same kind of archetype. That's actually a good video to debate who would be better, uncrazy Ron Artest or Kawhi Leonard. Ron Artest
wouldn't even be close. Ron Artest is a much better athlete. Much better athlete, bigger, stronger, quicker. He's like a miniature version of, say, like LeBron James. He's in that class.
Okay, wow.
But yeah, he's physically imposing. He's extremely strong. He was one of the strongest players in the league.
So you talk about like a Dennis Rodman, but with actual skills, as far as ball handling skills and stuff.
Oh yeah. Dennis Rodman was actually skinny compared to Ron. Ron Artest was all muscle. He was just huge, man. He was big. He was quick. He could score. So he was just nuts. Okay.
claims right now, man. I mean,
No,
I
he was
hear you,
nuts.
but
He's nuts.
these
But
are some
that's
bold claims you making right now. I didn't think you
I'm
run
saying.
with.
I'm saying it. I'm not saying he was as good as LeBron James. He probably wasn't as fast as LeBron James, but physically he was as physically imposing. Ron Artest is 6'7". You know,
I didn't. Oh,
and
damn!
Ron
I didn't
Artest
know
was
that.
6'7". He was like 265 pounds. He wasn't a little guy.
You know what's interesting?
Mm.
If he would have really stayed on his meds, like imagine what kind of damage he would have did if he would have went overseas. Like what Steph, because that's another thing I was saying too. Because what you're saying, and I'm about to jump on the other stuff too. I just wanted to keep it a little lighter for it to start off with. When Jason, not Jason Black, but when Stephen Marbury. Oh, it's another question I'm curious to ask you too.
Mm.
But with Stephon Marbury, he was a crazy dude too. He wasn't crazy, but he was like, he was
Stupid.
an alpha male. I
He
mean, he was
was
like,
no, he was stupid. You got to realize these guys are athletes. Some of these guys couldn't write a 500 word essay if you paid them.
but he was smart enough to go when he did go overseas. He pretty much rehabilitated his career
Yeah.
and pretty much create because I got some Starberries right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a company that he created. So I mean, so my point is that's a guy that has the same kind of stuff that I would talk. Like I would argue Isaiah Thomas is probably when I say smarter, I don't mean so much an IQ, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean so not so much as subject to that same mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as as maybe Stephon Marbury. So my point is, if Stephon Marbury could do it with his mentality,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't see why Isaiah couldn't. Look, I'm not talking about decisions as far as the NBA. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is these guys, like we're talking about the post LeVar Ball kind of situation now. These guys, it's in their mind to think
Mm-hmm.
about what can they do necessarily to market themselves maybe outside the NBA. And what I'm saying is, if you look at imagine when N1 was going strong and
Mm-hmm.
they were selling shoes and stuff, and you look at a guy like Isaiah Thomas. Let's say he had really strong handles and stuff. This is a
Mm-hmm.
guy, and obviously he's in the NBA, so he has that level of skill, especially being that short. He'd have to be able to play in the NBA. If he had that reputation of a Jason Williams or a Mike Bibby, or developed that or marketed that reputation,
Mm-hmm.
he could make a lot of money. I'm not talking about outside the NBA, but like create his own thing, kind of like what Beast Mode did. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is, the more you put yourself in a position to where you're in a winning situation,
Mm-hmm.
get your money. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, but put yourself in a winning situation first, which people like LaMarcus Aldridge has done, like Kevin Durant has done.
They're
A
getting
lot of
they're getting smarter now because they realize because they've seen so many people flame out and they don't want to be there. So the agents are actually smarter about teaching them. In fact, the NBA is smarter about teaching them and teaching them how to keep their money.
yeah, because they don't want to wind up like a Steve Francis, and Steve Francis was that dude. Like people forget how good. Or what's the other dude before Damian Lillard on Portland, Oregon, and his knees went out?
Ooh,
You know who I'm talking about? He's the dude Damian Lillard replaced, the point guard. If y'all remember in the chat, and I remember because he had that his last game. It was in the playoffs. He scored like 40 something or 30 something
he's still
points.
in the league, isn't he?
No, he's done. He's been
Okay,
done.
okay.
Damian Lillard replaced him. This is before Damian Lillard. He was the other dude that LaMarcus Aldridge was dealing with. Before Damian Lillard, and he was good. He was
Mm,
back there all-star. This is when this is like back when Russell Hard was still on the Thunder and stuff, and he went out. So it's a lot of these players, and when you look and by the way, it's not just LeVar Ball, LeBron James. Look, I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I don't think he's better than Kobe, let alone Jordan. But LeBron has done. When you look at LeBron off the court,
mm,
like you just got to give your hats down to him. Has he done everything right? No, but for a celebrity, a basketball player, I mean, you
mm.
can't really the little thing like him not
He,
mentioning Premier Rice is not
mm,
something I care about compared to him changing the mindset of a
mm.
lot of these all-star NBA players.
He's not the smartest guy, but he listens. You know, and
And
the
that's all
smart.
you really need. That's all
Yeah.
you really need. Like,
Unfortunately, you have these high testosterone alpha males that aren't always the smartest kids, and they don't listen. The
well,
ones
Jay Williams was smarter than probably most NBA players that ever come through the league, and look at where he wound up.
talking about Jason Williams.
Jay Williams from Duke, he
Yeah,
still got on that damn bike.
Oh, well, well, yeah, but yeah, that's being young.
Oh yeah, this is the question I got for you. Do you think Stephon Marbury should get into the Basketball Hall of Fame?
No.
So the reason I asked that question is because on Mike and Mike or ESPN Radio, they stated that the Basketball Hall of Fame is not about the NBA necessarily. Usually they at least have a presence in the NBA, but it's about all basketball.
Yeah.
So they tried to do that to make. Let me ask you this question: do you think Grant Hill should have made it to the Hall of Fame?
He didn't play enough games. He might make it if through college, but um,
Well, he was inducted. He is inducted.
well, he probably mostly for what he did at Duke rather than what he
Okay,
did when in the
so
pros.
that's
'Cause
okay.
he didn't play
So
enough games in the pros.
but you're okay. So that's the argument that they made for like people like Grant Hill
Hmm.
was that he did make the All-Star team 7 times, but is that really enough? And then they said, okay, when you add what he did to do, because they also said the same thing about Bill Walton. They
Hmm.
were like, okay, what he did in college. And I'm like, okay, if that's gonna be the standard, because that's also why they put Yao Ming in there. That was more of a political inductee,
Hmm.
really. Um, which I get why they did that,
Hmm.
but that's what that was. My
Hmm.
thing is, if you're gonna go on that in
Yeah.
special cases, then I'm like Steph. If you look at what Stephon Marbury has done in the inverse of that in China, as far as basketball, when you look at the
Yeah.
totality of his career, if you're gonna make that argument for other people, I'm not saying you're wrong if you say he shouldn't. I'm just saying the argument could be
So
made.
who should he make it over?
Well, I'm talking about eventually make it. I mean,
No,
it
no,
depends
no,
because there are
no.
always weaker years. I mean, I'm
No,
not.
no, no. He played in the biggest market and he didn't prove himself. I mean, he made it. He was a decent player, but he's not of
I mean,
the
he was an all star.
stuff.
It's not like Stephon Marbury was not an all star now. Okay, question: do you think Allen Houston should be in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Oh, well, damn, you just got a high standard. Okay. No, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just that's giving me okay. You have a high standard of who should be in there. You should do a sports channel. I know you do. I know all these hours. You do what 16, 32. You do 64 hours a month at least with the two hangouts. But real
Hmm.
talk, or at least you should start with doing a sports hour on the I'm not trying to tell you what you should do, obviously, but a sports hour on the 8 hour hangout because shit.
Yeah, Allen Houston was okay. Uh, if Allen Houston makes it, then Sprewell should make it because Sprewell was really the one that actually uh, uh, took that team in a lockout season, basically to the championship. Allen
What about
Houston,
Mark Jackson?
Mark Jackson, no, I don't think so. Mark Jackson's okay.
Damn.
No,
Okay.
we
Who do
well,
you
thing is,
think?
you talk about Hall of Fame. We talk about Hall of Fame
Okay,
players.
so who do you okay, and I'm about to move on to my other stuff, but this was good. Who do you think should make it that most people would not think should make it? Like who is the underrated player that you think that you would co-sign that you think goes against the grain
That goes against the grain that probably should make it. That's unknown.
or underrated?
But underrated. Really, I think what's his name? Uh, Thompson of Golden State probably will be underrated, and he probably should make it.
Okay.
He-
Thompson of Golden State.
yeah,
From what era?
he's playing now. Thompson,
Okay. Thompson. Klay Thompson.
Clay Thompson. Yeah,
Oh,
but he has so many other
okay.
other.
No, that is an underrated because a
It,
lot of people can make the argument is he was around. My thing about Klay Thompson, I like Klay Thompson. When I think about Klay Thompson, is he needs to show up in the playoffs. This is going to be a good opportunity
hmm
with Stephen Curry and his ankle and people getting hurt. They're gonna
hmm
need him to really show up in the damn because he doesn't show. He's not Harden, but he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Like, and that's like he
because
doesn't show up in the finals,
well, the thing is,
particularly.
we look at his scoring, but then also look at he's probably if one of if not their best defender.
Oh,
He's also this probably this well now he's their third best shooter. He's probably their best athlete. He's like the Scottie Pippen. Should he make it? I think he. I don't think
What
he
about? I
will.
got a question.
I don't
Okay,
think he will, but I think he should. Go
what
ahead.
about? Okay, what about Draymond Green? Event if he stays on the same track.
I think Draymond Green, because of the publicity, probably will make it. I
I
think.
think Draymond Green is the Robert Horry of our time.
Mm,
Not as clutch, obviously, than what Robert Horry was known for, but I'm talking about that guy that like. The thing I respect Draymond Green so much for is because you could put Draymond Green in the old school NBA and he would be very
yeah,
successful. I
yeah. Well, he's a extremely fundamental player, but I don't think he's a clutch player.
no,
Robert Ory probably won't make it to the Hall of Fame.
that's wow. Okay, no,
Oh,
that's cool. I mean, I get it. I mean, these are
yeah.
legitimate points,
I'm
but
saying whether he deserves it or not, he was a co-star. He wasn't a star. So for him to make it, if he makes it, he'll probably make it probably much later, and because he was on so many championship teams. But he was always a co-star. He was never the star.
okay,
And
wow.
there's a lot of guys out there like that. You can say the same thing for Derek Fisher. He was on.
No, I mean,
Go ahead.
they say I'm not trying to look at the chat, but they saying I'm tripping. I mean, you can make the case. I mean, I'm gonna tell you that'd be a good YouTube, honestly, for people that have sports channels, and
Hmm.
I might look into that, like the case for, you know what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
person, this person. I mean, they have a case. The question, you don't have to say yes, but they have a case. I mean, Robert Ory has been the key because you could argue LeBron wouldn't have a ring if it wasn't for like Ray Allen making that damn shot. You
Yeah.
know, so that matters, and that matters. You could argue too with Kyrie Irving as well making that damn shot,
Well, that's
and
true.
that
But
makes it.
that's true. But the thing is, you wouldn't be in the finals period if LeBron wasn't on that team.
That's true. But what I'm not saying should they be like the first ones, but I'm
Hmm.
like, should they eventually get there? With Robert Ory doing it as many times and just the impact you could argue he had on the
Hmm.
NBA.
Hmm.
You can make an argument. That's with all these. I'm talking about the argument. I'm not talking about I'm gonna put my foot down and say
Mm,
that's, you know.
yeah. The thing is, who do you leave out? That's the whole thing. If he's going to make it, only so many people can make it in. Who do you leave out if he makes it?
Well, that's
Yeah.
not how I look at it. That's something I have to ponder on because I never
Uh,
look at it. I've never looked at it like who do you leave out because you
yeah.
have good years and not good years, and I
If
don't know.
if you make a case, if you make the case for Robert Ory, then there's more Robert Orys that are going to be out there they can have a
Okay, well, what I would
similar
say is
resume.
okay. No, I hear you on that.
Mm.
So because if you were to make a documentary series of, or not a documentary series or a video saying you should make this person for that, then you
Hmm.
should also put the in spite of as well. And by the
Yeah.
way, that would give a lot of good comments too. To be like in spite of this person
Yeah.
that's similar, but they didn't make the same impact. I can agree with that. I
Yeah.
think that
I think a case for Robert Ory would be better. Well, Robert Ory has a better case than Stephon Marbury or Allen
no,
Houston.
definitely, but no, he definitely does.
And I
But
and I
I
and
think Stephon has a case too because of his overall impact. But you know,
Kobe has a bigger impact on China than Stephon Marbury.
okay. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, because I get it.
Kobe is huge in China. Kobe is bigger than Yao Ming in China.
No, I saw that. Well, I don't know about that, but I
Oh
saw
yeah,
that.
oh yeah,
Okay, I saw that in the Philippines. I saw how big Kobe was in the
yeah,
Philippines. We saw
yeah,
Kobe on billboards and shit.
yeah. Kobe's bigger than Yao Ming in China.
Kobe was on Lenovo computers selling computers.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
put him on everything.
yeah. Kobe, for whatever
You
reason, I
see?
think it's his worth. He has a Chinese work ethic, so they like Kobe. So they did basically adopted Kobe. Kobe can't even walk. And when he goes to China, he can't even walk anywhere because he's got hundreds of thousands of people milling around him. So
You know what? If they would have been smart, if Disney would have been genius and they really said we're going to push this damn Black Panther movie in China for real, they should have had really go to bat for it. They should have did a commercial, like some kind of basketball commercial with Black Panther and Kobe. And then they should have had Stephon Marbury paid him to actively campaign for
I
it.
don't think Disney really wanted Black Panther to get as big as it did.
No, I agree. I agree they did it. And I think
Black Panther made it in spite of
I agree with that. And a lot of people don't believe and see, it's interesting. I'm glad you say that because I'm going to transition into the Stephon Clark situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because with that,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that gets on my nerves about, and we talked about this yesterday on the other hangout, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna reiterate this,
Mm-hmm.
is when black people don't, number one, black people that don't talk in good faith, they don't really say, look, this is what it is, when they have like another agenda, so they're pushing, it's like they're not open about what they're really about.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're pushing bullshit and trying to sell you lies, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what they are, out
Mm-hmm.
of context, or intellectual dishonesty. So, for instance, you'll look at a lot of people, and they'll, some, not a lot of people, some black people or some conservative, whatever you want to call them, and they'll say white people would never limit the success of a movie because they're all about profit. Now, I personally believe that Hollywood is about 70. I think Hollywood's about 70% profit,
Mm-hmm.
30% mind control. That's what I believe, like
Mm-hmm.
social influence.
Yeah.
And they will take movies to do that. And that doesn't always have to be racial. Like I believe they did that to the superhero industry for a long time because they didn't want that to be the status quo. You could argue from a business end that they didn't have the technology to really make that work. If I wanted to talk about that in good faith, but I just don't think that's what they wanted to do. You could argue they do that with women's movies today
Mm-hmm.
because I said it, like, I'll give you an example. And I know this seems like I'm talking about some other shit, but I'll give you an example. Hollywood, do you believe or agree that if Hollywood wanted to make really good movies with women leads that men could kind of buy into or at least enjoy or at least be cool with taking their girlfriends to, they
Yeah.
could make those movies?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. They
I'll give
could.
you a perfect. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, the first Tomb Raider movies, men enjoyed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Versus you look at Ghostbusters. I
Mm-hmm.
personally believe they set that movie up to fail. Because if you would have led, because in the first Ghostbusters, they had the black dude was an engineer.
Right.
And they made a concerted effort.
The
If you wanted to
the
make,
black no, the black dude? No, he was just a regular
yeah,
dude.
no,
No.
he wasn't.
Yes, he
He was
was.
an engineer.
No, he was just a
He
regular
was an
dude.
engineer.
No, he was not.
What okay, I'll come back to that.
In other words, the engineers were the two guys that actually put the machine together, right? And they basically had three guys. They had one guy that was actually their friend, which is what was his name? Murray. Bill Murray was actually the friend, and then they had so much work. They said we have too much work, um, because we're running around with too much work. We need to hire somebody, so they hired a black dude.
So were they all STEM but the black dude?
Bill Murray wasn't STEM. He wasn't a doctor. He was just he
Was
was like,
he an engineer?
huh?
Or was he just the dude that believed in ghosts and shit?
He, there's always a dude that's kind of like a slacker that hang around smart dudes. That was
Okay,
Bill
but he
Murray.
wasn't a doctor. He wasn't
No,
an engineer.
no.
Okay.
They
Okay.
had two.
So my point. Okay. So at least in that one. Okay. So even if I'm wrong about the black dude, there
Mm-hmm.
was two dudes that wasn't that.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Versus in this movie, in the new Ghostbusters, they were all STEM, but the one black woman.
yeah,
And then on top of that, the black dude was kind of quiet in the background. He was kind of like, I mean, he was there, but he was a filler, which
yeah.
is fine. But the woman, they kind of said, you're gonna take on a lot of the buffoonery, even though that's her shtick.
Uh-huh.
My thing is, had they made her the person in like in the science or whatever, and then they took what is it, Tammy McCarthy, and
Mm-hmm.
made her the buffoonery role because that's her shtick too.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that wouldn't have turned off as many black people, and you would have got more promotion for that. That actually is one of the things that set it off on top of the obvious, bullshit where people just felt like you were turning Ghostbusters into a feminist thing. They knew that and they didn't care. So they said, and that was Warner Brothers that put that out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They set that out. Now you look at that versus like a movie like, well, this has having to do with feminism, but when you look at a new movie that's coming out, Ocean's Ocho, which is like a female version of Ocean's
Ocean 11. Yeah,
yeah. My
yeah.
thing is, and I've said this, if you want to make that good, you start with the villains rather than doing a black woman a man, the women are smarter than the boys bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
do a Devil Wears Prada / Cruella DeVille type of archetype. So get
Mm-hmm.
a woman like Judi Dench, and then let's just say somehow she got like Danny Ocean in jail, so that's why he's not there. He's back in jail. So Rusty's kind of got to take over the team, but Rusty becomes more of a Charlie's Angels, kind of in the box kind of thing. So you kind of see him, but you don't see him. And
Mm-hmm.
then he had to recruit women. That way you explain why that's there. The reason why you get Rusty, because Rusty gives you an excuse to get Elizabeth, Catherine Zeta-Jones, because you never saw what happened with them in the second one. And then you get the older woman. You don't get Tess because she costs too much. And then you just fill in. You get Margot Robbie to headline it. You fill in
Mm-hmm.
whatever women you want to get, race, whatever, to sell it. Dudes would be cool. And then by the way, you get Chris Hemsworth or what's the dude that did Magic Mike? You know what I'm saying? Channing Tatum to do that kind of money penny role on the villain
Mm-hmm.
side, that
Mm-hmm.
Batista role, and then you get Anne Hathaway on the villain side too. And then you can make movies, but they don't do that because they really don't want women to be able to get those type of roles, because then they could justify them getting more money the more these movies become successful.
I think what they're trying to promote, they're trying to keep women to be nice and sweet and innocent, and not having them be nasty and evil, like or kind of grungy, like a hero should be, or like a hero, or really a or a villain. If you look at let's say the Force Awakens, you could have rewritten her role to where she was actually believable, and men would have accepted her.
What did you
Like,
say?
like say the Force Awakens, like Ray, as
Oh
far as,
yeah.
and like if I
No,
were
that's what they did in Rogue One. I mean, compare Rey to
mm,
the character, the woman in Rogue One. To
yeah,
me, that was more believable because
yeah,
I can see dudes getting behind a woman that's been through some shit, saying,
mm,
"Okay, she's a woman and she done been through the shit I done been through. A family got killed. She done been in jail. She's had to prove herself."
mm.
Dudes will usually say, "Okay, if I kind of agree with what she's on, all right, I'll go with her because she's, you know what I'm saying."
I mean, if I was rewriting Ray, I would have made her the daughter of a Jedi. Okay, that left to fight a war and got killed when she was like 11 or 12, and then her mother dies. Now she's on her own, but she still has
Yeah.
Jedi training, and she's kind of is almost like would be like a Han Solo character, almost like a Han Solo character, where she's kind of bitter and she's kind of
Oh,
cranky.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of cranky and kind of a little bit mean, but and over time she kind of grows into the role to where she's actually a Jedi. I would Men will actually accept her a lot more that way, to where she's not this innocent girl that all of a sudden just pops up out of nowhere with these skills.
Kind of like a hurt version of Wonder Woman, because
Yeah.
even when in Batman in Justice League, when she wasn't aggressive, but she would stand up to, she was assertive when she needed to be.
Hmm.
Like when Bruce Wayne kind of came at her about Steve Trevor, like how she pushed him,
Hmm.
she was still like, hesitant, because she could have pushed him a lot harder, but she was like, that's a dick move, and she got a dick response.
Mm.
Most dudes can agree with that when they know they made that charge, because they know what was coming, and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, because that's kind of like, locker room kind of shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But my point is, I'm just a guy, so I know if I know this, they know this.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when they make these movies, there's success, and then there's making its money back. They tell their shareholders, we're going to give you a certain return on investment. As long as they give them that,
Hmm.
how they get there doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You see
Oh,
what
I
I'm
agree
saying?
with that. Yeah,
So
I
there's
agree
a
with
lot
that.
of movies that they can let die, because here's the thing a lot of people don't realize. When you look at profitability when it comes to movies,
It's only a few that do it. Yeah.
well, comedy is
Mm.
some of the most profitable, but in horror now, especially now, they always know they could go to John Blumhouse and do a horror flick for $5 million,
Hmm.
and spread it out in the movie theaters and get return on investment. Because a
Yeah.
lot of these horror movies are not even like, they don't even spend a lot of money on the advertising like that. Get Out was not advertised until after it already started making money. So a
Mm.
lot of the money was already making. It was just you're spending money on money you already made, because the movie was only made for $5 million.
Yeah.
Same thing with Split. Same thing with and then with Split, they just said, okay, finally M. Night Shyamalan made a movie that wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and that's what they promoted. So anyway, Hollywood is, and that's why when you interface with Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
and to come at that with black people have to be willing to spend. They gotta be willing to not. I understand how hard that is. Make no mistake when I say this, but
Mm-hmm.
black people got to be willing to engage with Hollywood without worrying about not getting a check from white folks. Because if you come at them with money, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they'll work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you come at them with I just want to check.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at that movie that just came out with Taraji P. Henson and Tyler Perry. That, you
Okay.
know, I do all this shit for black men and you betrayed me. That typical
Yeah.
bullshit. We know who's gonna
Well, yeah,
buy
well,
that.
of course, that's his base. So basically, same thing with the movie I just watched, Roxanne, almost the same thing. It's almost like uh, uh, Straight Outta Compton meets The Color Purple.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, even if you look at straight, yeah. So I can talk about that all the time.
Mm.
So I just wanted to keep it a little light, let people, because some people try to ask me why are you so serious, and I'm like, man, I can talk about a lot of different
Don't
shit.
worry about that. Well, I don't worry about what people think about what I
No,
do.
I don't. I mean, you know, I don't either. But I
Mm.
do try to acknowledge certain things because
Mm.
I'm not somebody that's so full of shit that I can't call out my own faults. That's why I was laughing when we were on when you said on a hangout, like people talk about Ella talks too much. Which when I was in first grade, that's what my teachers always put. You know, when you make the comments, talk. And I'm like,
Mm.
whatever. But yeah, I got hit with a stitching cord a couple times over that shit, and it didn't stop.
No. Well, you can't
Oh,
because that's who you are.
yeah, my mom had the plug and play extension cord as well. She
Mm.
she didn't have the one where you had to screw out. She always said when you're hitting somebody, fresh anger is always best. Which which kind of tells you what people are on when they hit their kids.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That's like I don't spank my kids when I'm angry.
yeah, but yeah, man. So, but then they're like, "Oh, where's Alan?" And I'm like, "Okay, so you can talk. I'm doing my own thing. Why is it that like people worry about where I am if you know?" So that shit kills me. But whatever. Have you seen more episodes of Black Lightning? By the way,
I seen about 5 of them.
all right, man. You know, I hear what you're saying about that. Like Black Lightning is really a good case study in why you really don't want to raise black people liberal.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I didn't think about that till you brought that up, but it really is. Like the how they interact and stuff like that. But it's getting good because now more of them are getting powers. It's getting a little bit deeper on the villains. Oh, they going through some deep shit. Like I'm not trying to give spoilers, so
Mm.
y'all should be looking at the damn show. But and this is not really a spoiler, but one of the plot lines is they have found the okay, so they were giving them something in a vaccine to make black people more docile. Have you
Mm-hmm.
gotten to that part?
No, I haven't gotten that part yet.
Oh shit! So
Uh,
so the idea you find out like what happened with his dad and why that is and with Gammy and all that.
okay.
But the point is they're talking about human experimentation. That
Oh yeah.
black, yeah,
Yeah.
they're going deep into that,
Yeah.
and they're
Okay.
kidnapping kids, and then you find out where they are and what's going on with them now. It's basically kind of like what they kind of did with Agents of Shield with
Mm.
Inhumans,
Mm.
experimenting humans, except they did that with black people.
Okay.
And then now he's got to go up through these super secret government deep state organizations. It's not just Black Lightning is fighting criminals. So they kind of raise the stakes as because you've already been in an episode where the woman has power now too, right?
Yeah.
His daughter.
His
And
daughter.
like I said, man, she's a very beautiful woman. It's like, why the fuck y'all just had to make her gay. They just, and I get it. CW always wants to court that because CW has a large LGBT audience
Mm.
that's kind of vocal. So I kind of give them a pass for that because they do put a lot of black people. They got more black people for a white organization. They make them look pretty solid, like John Diggle on Arrow, and
Mm.
they don't make the other dude that is gay, Wally West, even though he is gay in real life, play gay.
Mm.
But they got more on one side than the other. So I try to give them a pass. They gave Isaiah Washington the job
Mm.
when nobody really wanted to hire him like that. People
Yeah.
forget that he was on the 100.
Yeah.
So I give him a pass. But damn. But anyway, that's enough of that small shit. Now I want to talk about this Stephen Clark situation real quick.
Go ahead.
So the prevailing theory with Stephen Clark, what's out there now, because Jason Black had a dust up with Sean Netta of
Mm.
Black Lives Matter on Twitter. And Shanetta really decided to try to go for his helmet because Jason Black did a video, which I agree with, talking about it's called Sacramento Sellout. Definitely check it out. And he's done other videos talking about it as well. And what he said, and he made this very clear. What I would tell anybody that sees this video, definitely watch the whole video, but listen to the last 4 minutes. Listen to the first 5 minutes outside of his usual music. So go from like 3 to like 8, and then go if you don't want to listen to the whole 2 hours. I understand people ain't got time for that. And then go to the last 4 minutes. The reason why I say that is because he says very clearly in the first 5 minutes of that video, outside the music, that he is not really going after Stephen Clark because of he was with an Asian woman. And Jason Black, when Jason Black finds out that you're with a non-black woman, Jason Black still talks to you like you got some damn sense, because he's gotten it out of people before, and he doesn't like get stupid. So that's not what it is. Although his policy is black people should be with black people. He also says that the police deserve what they deserve to be punished for killing a black man. He said that in the end. So he's not saying cops should be left off the hook and it's good. But what he said was, he said that you cannot be a black person and be on that all lives matter bullshit. Because that's the tweet that he really highlighted. The fact that he said, my son is Vietnamese and Indian, young lives matter. And you make excuses for other black men to get killed. But then, and then black people are supposed to cape for you and spend resources, time, and energy for you. Now, Black Lives Matter was going. So first, I want to ask you, what do you think about that part?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter who he was or what he did. Okay, at the end of the day, those cops didn't go in his Twitter history, said, "Oh, he's dating a Vietnamese or non-black woman or whatever," and shoot him.
Yeah,
and for the next person, because it's not about him anyway, because he's already dead. It's about the police and how they handle black people or black men, period. So you're not caping for Stephen Clark. I think we try to you put the name out there so people can rally around, but at the same time, you're not caping for Stephen Clark. If they found Stephen Clark hung in a tree, are you caping? You're not going to cape for him because he was dating a white woman, or you actually going out in the street so that no other black man gets hung.
I understand that, but what we know. So, for instance, what we know about Black Lives Matter is Black Lives Matter does not care about black men.
No.
Do you agree with that?
Well, I agree with it because I've already said it.
All right. So, no, I understand that. I'm not talking about, but my point to that is when you know that, and you know this guy is really, so the very thing you just said as far as rallying around that, Black Lives Matter is not rallying around the fact that this was a black man being killed. They're rallying around the fact this is just another opportunity to promote. This is actually literally, like, I'm not trying to say that they race bait, but this is actually literally kind of what that really is. And it's kind of like, okay, because at the same time, you got a lot of people to try to say they were Black Lives Matter, like women that will say that we always are protecting you and you don't do anything for it. They say that so they can have an excuse to bitch, basically.
Well, okay, well, let them bitch. So what?
No, they can, but my point.
I said either you're on the team or you're not on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not on the team.
And that's what Jason Black was saying. He's saying, look, because even if you look, because he did another, I haven't gone through all his videos because he was popping them out because he's using YouTube. Oh, he's using YouTube now to do these live streams. And boy, I tell you, that money flowed in with, boy, BGS, I'm gonna be honest with you. You kind of you and other folks laid the groundwork for kind of training black people to donate, because boy, that money was flowing. People were throwing in $150, $100, 50, 50, 20, 20. And even Jason Black had to start acknowledging all of them because that money was flowing in when
he's got a base. So the thing is, he's already built his base, so they're already there. So
yeah.
So actually, so he's just opened up an avenue where they can actually donate, which he should have done a long time ago. Huh? Go ahead.
Yeah, he has a certain thing that he feels about donating. He's kind of like me in the sense where he feels like I feel like I should offer something to people.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like a product, and if you want to buy, but even if it's a T-shirt, versus kind of the old school way of selling, versus like a past pork shop. And I'm not saying that's what people are to do that, but I'm just saying he comes at that old school.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that, but if the money, if you gonna get it, shit, I'm not gonna say no.
No,
But
you appreciate people that think enough of you to actually donate. So that's the way I do it. I'm not saying that people are wrong for asking for you to support their content, because if you're going to do it and you're going to put it out there, you have a right to ask for people to support your content. It's just and I have nothing against that, and I encourage that, because we have a lot of scholars out there that you put in the work. So if I have no problem with that. Well, it's just me. I don't particularly. That's not my goal, so I don't ask for it. So if people want to donate,
and another thing too is, I don't believe it's one thing to ask for support and then to put it out there that you're doing this and people should support it. But there's a different thing than when people start chastising people and start going on rants and raves. And a lot of people I'm cool with have done that. About saying, "Oh, you niggas don't support." See, that's a different thing as far as I'm concerned.
I've heard that too. So, and it started way before YouTube. Let's put it that way. In the conscious community, I hear that all the time. So
no, well, at the same time, there's something to be said. These will be the very same people that want to rail against capitalism and talk about and when I say that, I'm not even talking about like big. I'm talking about just the idea of selling. Like when people talk about getting in the supply side, the basic trade of a supply side is your ability to sell. And selling, a lot of times with Black people, because we've been done wrong, and I get it, we look at sales like snake oil salesmen or like used car salesmen, where fundamentally you are trying to use your mouthpiece in order to give value to something that probably otherwise wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
That's how we see it, and nobody wants to be that person. I did when I used to do that, like MLM. You deal with that a lot, and when you don't engage the actual issues people have and give value, like, I mean, because money is just a form of value. Like if I give you something you didn't know before and that you can use, like for instance, if you say I want to build my credit. Glendon Cameron does this as well of Hustlers Kung Fu. Shout out to O'Shea that interviewed Glendon Cameron. If you didn't know how to build your credit, and then people are saying you can go to this person and do credit repair. That's always the hustle, right? Credit repair. And then they say, oh, you need to spend 300, 400, 500 on credit repair. If I say, okay, here is a couple of steps that you can do. Like if you teach them about secure credit, like you can spend $500 and get a credit card that's secured, and that will help you build your credit. Most Black people don't know about that.
Yeah, most of them don't. Yeah.
And that's what white people do. Now that's a simple concept that I could actually charge. If you would have asked me for a coaching session, not you, but somebody, and I'm not a credit expert, but I looked at some videos and I gave you that information because I know you don't know that. I could argue that was worth that $25, 30-minute session. If I gave you that plus some action stuff, if I say, okay, here's the credit cards that are good, here's the credit cards that are not going to be high interest rate, here's the credit cards that have good graduation rates. Where graduation just means that if you don't fuck up the card, they'll graduate it to unsecured. That's a lot. I know based on my market being Black people, that would help a lot of Black people, a lot of like regular to-do Black people. That's information, but it has value, even though you can YouTube that. That's what a lot of people don't understand about that. But anyway, get back on this Stephen Clark thing. Anyway, getting on that. My point, though, is only thing the TBA was saying was that we also need to talk about this being a lesson to all these all lives matter Negroes. It will go over and beyond your Brandon Tatums, your ABLs, and I understand why they do it, because you said that, because of their base. But this same stuff could happen to them, and it doesn't matter. It's been times where Black police officers, by the way, have gotten shot because they're undercover or they didn't have the badge on.
Yeah.
And then it's considered friendly fire. It doesn't matter. So I get you talk about rallying around, but people got to also look and say, look, this dude did not have the situational awareness because he wanted to act like the shit did not matter. And it doesn't matter if your all lives matter or whatever. This is a problem. And people like Stephen are were the main ones talk about it's not an issue.
Okay.
So we got to start taking an audit on these people. That's my point. And when you, by the way, when you look at how his family is acting, really his brother, I mean, it's like, God damn. Like, dude's jumping on desks and tables. And one part, like, shout out to Mike. Mike was talking about, you know, you can't help with somebody's grieving. I get that, but jumping on, I don't give a damn, man. I can't really.
Come on. But there's gonna be theatrics, okay? People on there's been theatrics before,
and that's off code. That's performing, and that and there is a room to criticize that stuff.
Yeah, but it's saying, but that's even though that's theatrics, that's actually beside the issue. It doesn't look good, but the thing is, that's not the point. The point is not that your brother got killed. The point is not the circumstance. The point is, it is the policy that allows police to do this, and can we do something different? You know.
Okay. Well, my question to you is, what are they doing in Sacramento?
That's a good question. They should, you know, I don't know what they're doing in Sacramento because I'm not there.
Or California in general.
California, they're twitchy, but the saying is they have cams. Did they? Like I think it was can't remember the comedian's name, but he said you should the cam video, if it's there, should be released to the public within a week before you get your story together. In other words, that's what the cams are for. The cams are not for just to record evidence. Cams are there so that you have public confidence.
You know, it's interesting.
So now it's when a cop does something that's kind of shaky, or it looks like it's on the edge of something wrong, show the cam, show the evidence, and then regardless of what the trial is, show the evidence so that the public can say, okay, this is justified or not justified. Most people can say, okay, if the dude was can put themselves in the cop's shoes, okay, would I have shot that guy if I was in the same position?
It's interesting you say that.
And if it's not, if it's something else, then cops need to be retrained. Okay?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say it that way, because the reality is, at some point, it comes down to, what are you gonna do about it? Like, because you can say get body cameras, and the police across the country, but some of them didn't get body cameras, but the ones that did, they conveniently turn the body cameras up. There are no penalties to cops to do that, you know. And the ones that even have them, like you look at the Alton Sterling case, where Alton Sterling, that was pretty much caught on video too, and the cop was let off, even though that was almost as obvious.
Even though he got fired. You know.
Yeah, he got fired. Yeah, and keep in mind, is just because he got fired doesn't mean he won't get a job somewhere else once stuff dies. And when I say somewhere else, I'm talking in law enforcement. As a police officer, that there's a precedent where that's happened once stuff dies down. And then we're not even going to count the money that like the unions and all of that give him, because even though he got fired, we don't know what happened with his pension and stuff like that. That's just what's reported. And the media also chooses not to put that out there because it's up to black.
But if you make it a precedent where cops know they will lose their job if they do something that's not within policy, if they violate policy, they know they're going to lose their job. It might not be good for that cop, but the next cop. Or the next cop.
But that's been, you know, I'll say this, but you know, for the most part, that's the one that's kind of been happening though. That's kind of like 50-50 where they lose their jobs. The issue has always been that these cops are not being prosecuted. And we're not even talking about necessarily for murder, but they don't have it on their record. They just have, they like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, what do you have to do to encourage people or encourage governments that are people that are in charge to do the things that you want them to do? And where's the pressure points? And I've said,
I agree.
I've said how to do this, in Atlanta and New York have done it, and guess what? They don't have these issues anymore.
No, you're right.
I'm not going to say it I'm not going to say it on the public airwaves again. Okay.
No, and I won't repeat it either. But I'll say this: you said organize the money. I leave it there. But and my point, and then see, it's interesting because when we talk about organize the money, and you organize the money before something happens. Like if something happens, then you don't be like, okay, that happens, it peaks. Then it's like we go on in 3-4 weeks back to what we're doing. We'd be like, okay, this has clearly happened across the nation. This has happened too close to home. Now we need to take inventory of what that means. Like where is your money flowing to? Like as far as individually. And this is my point, going back to guys like, you know, I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but if you were to go to somebody like him and say, this is happening, this has been happening, what are you doing? Well, young lives matter. What about my son? See, you don't build the consensus that's necessary to stop stuff like that from happening. Now, granted, is everybody necessarily like him? Man, no. But they're all, but you've heard my hangouts a little bit where you see,
going to a dude like him, he's grieving. I don't care. I go to everybody else. Do you want it to be your son or your father or your brother? What are you going to do for the next time? Do you want to solve the problem, or do you want to march? If you want to march, go out there and march. You want to go out and protest in front of cameras, go do that. Or do you want to solve the problem?
Yeah, exactly. And in my opinion, and not even in my opinion, when people, because he took calls, TBA took calls, and when he was taking calls, a lot of the people, it was funny because people are calling like they had some sense, but it was this. It's amazing how programmed. Like, one woman called from the NAACP, like she was from a chapter of NAACP, I believe in Alabama or something, and he asked Jason Black, like, what's the plan? And what first thing Jason Black said is, it's very telling that you're calling me, asking me what's the plan. That tells me about what they're teaching y'all down there. And then he told her the plan, and then she didn't. And here's the thing: she didn't agree. No, she didn't emotionally, and she didn't say that she didn't agree, because she was a very sweet sounding woman. But you can tell it's like, I don't buy into what you're saying, because she asked the question again. So you're talking, but you're not saying what the plan is. She said, I just said it. Now we have a reading comprehension problem, listening comprehension problem. And he said, and then he goes further to explain the actual plan. Because what TBA pretty much says is, what you need to do, you're economically disempowered. So the first thing you need to do is get economically empowered individually, meaning you need to get your credit score up and you need to get some money in the bank saved. Then when I said that on my hangout, a lot of folks will say, oh, well, that's impossible to do because black men have no money. There are a lot of black men are disenfranchised, but you are looking for the ones
you always, if you're living in this society, you have money, whether it's $1, whether it's $2, whether it's 100, you have money, and that money is a flow. Now, individually, if you're broke or halfway broke, no, you can't move that mountain. But if you get enough, or move that rock, you get enough ants together, you can move that rock. The thing is, so if 48 million black people got together and just changed the flow of $1, or $2, or $5, okay, that stuff adds up really, really quickly. And if you start changing the flow, where you do business, where you spend your money, who you spend your money with, trust and believe, they notice when that flow gets cut off. So that dude that's broke, or he's on general relief, he's getting $300 a month. Okay, you go to that Arab liquor store and buy liquor, or you go buy your swishers to roll your dope in, or whatever you do with it. That's a flow. And every little electron, because it's just currency is just that, it's like electricity. It's like every little electron adds up. So you can do so. Saying that you're broke or black men are broke, that's bullshit. You broke people that have $0 are dead. So even if you're a bum begging on the street and you get $10 a day, or you get $20 a day, you determine what you're going to do with that $20. Okay. So saying that is bullshit.
Thank you. This is what I've been. Oh my God. This is what I've been saying. Like, when I say that, every time, like when people look, again, I don't. It's not that I care what people think, but a lot of times people, you know how it is with certain folks will want to lump everybody together in one situation. When they talk about, oh, well, somebody's like Yvette Carnell is like Tones Talk. Look, he put up this video without actually looking at the video. Oh, well, he agrees with Tones Talk. I'm like, no, he's clear. Like you said, you don't really agree with how he comes out stuff. His information, he does present information, which is more than a lot of people do. And you can speak to the information, but it's not that you necessarily agree with like his whole philosophy of things. My point, that's exactly, this clip is good, because that's what I've been saying. Because they were using your videos, not Tone Talk to them, but on my last hangout, they were using your videos as kind of a way saying, well, on this video, this was being said, and it was said that black men ain't got no money. I say, no, that video is articulate, because I've heard other videos that you've done is saying the reality of the situation is that when black people get resources, those resources do not go to black men. Those resources really go to black women and black children. And they really don't even go to black boys like that. If you even want to. So when people talk about the black community, when the politicians say that, or they say people of color, and they're referring to black people, they're really referring to black women and black children as far as benefits, right? Am I right about that? Okay.
Yeah,
and so the reality is the video is just showcasing proof that black people, men have never gotten we want to talk about black men needing to build the community, which I believe it has to happen with us if it's going to happen because women don't build. But you want to make those complaints, and I'm not even just talking about black women. I'm talking about anybody want to make those complaints where it's so obvious that black men are the most targeted and least disenfranchised. Only Indian men can really compare to that, and even Indians have their own reservations. So Jason Black has said that, you're saying that, and they took that as, well, black men ain't got no money, so they can't do nothing. So how can we pull money together? And that's when I was talking about, I didn't get a chance to hash that out really, when we was talking about an economic base. What I'm talking about really with black people is black men need to understand that we have to create our own economic base amongst ourselves. I'm not saying to exclude women, but what I'm saying is when you build, if you build a neighborhood, and like, just give me a small example. If you build a house, if you have a house and you buy that, you have a choice to what type of woman you want to bring into that house. Correct or not correct?
That's true.
That's a different dynamic to where if you have an apartment and you choose to move in with her. You see what I'm saying? Or a house. You can't then say, I'm a man and I'm going to put my dick on the table when I have to be vulgar, when at the end of the day, your name ain't on the lease. Because eventually, and that's regardless of race, by the way, it's not just black, that's regardless of race, a woman is going to pull your whole card. So we got a lot of dudes, and see, that's what happens with kids. At the end of the day, women are empowered by the state in order to have the idea is women are at heart more moral than men. Now, we all know that's bullshit because we know women are typically amoral versus at least men operate with a code. And even for men that don't operate with a code, for the most part, there's clear penalties for men that do whatever they do. Even in white society, if men do things against white society, there's clear penalties for that amongst white men. Right? Okay. Yeah. So, but versus women don't have these hard lines. Women look at it more like a flow. They look at so they constantly test. It's kind of like that Velociraptor on Jurassic Park when they're testing the electricity, the gate to see which ones are weakness. That's just female nature. That's not bad, but you just have to know that's what it is. So you got to have your I don't want to say game type, but you got to have your situation type. That's why when I was talking about putting yourself first, I was talking more about protecting yourself. If you have that fork because you have a lawyer, because you have a mission, you know what you're about, you're disciplined, then women are less likely to take advantage of you like that. And they will respect you more because they say, okay, this is a guy I can't come with the bullshit, because on top of that, his shit is tight enough where he can replace me if necessary. A lot of dudes are not willing to do that because they tie their manhood to what a woman thinks.
And that's where they've been socialized.
Okay. That's okay. And so I'm not saying it's their fault, but that still is the matter. That still is a situation, and that's not a good situation because you are vulnerable. Your ability, you can't really protect yourself and protect your children if you can't protect yourself, if you are subject to an entity that you are allowing them to lead you. You're allowing those feelings and those amoral emotions to lead you because you care about what they say. Now, I'm talking about this before you have kids with a woman. I'm just talking about jump
because a lot of guys and a lot of millennials, especially, haven't cut the apron string. They still attached to mama.
Yeah, and that's why
mama thinks.
And that's why I said you have to conquer your mother first. Usually with black men, that's the first problem. Because look, man, black men, because how we're raised, most black men have most have no problem saying niggas, my father ain't shit. You say your mama, that's gonna be a fight. You say your daddy, well, that kind of depends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, dude may cuss you out, but that's not necessarily you losing teeth.
Mm.
So that's how, so understand it. But see, the problem is a lot of dudes don't want to acknowledge that. So when I say you need to when I say conquer your mom, I'm not saying you need to beat her up. What I'm saying is, yes, she can be an advisor to you as an elder, but at the same time, you have to look at her as a human being and say there's something she did right, but and I appreciate that, and I'll help her out. But there's something she fucked up on, and I'm not gonna repeat that, and I reject that.
A lot of that is because it sounds funny, but a lot of that is because men don't have children. Because once you become a parent, the dynamic instantly changes because you're put in the same position that your mother's put in. And it happened as soon as I had my child. All of a sudden, what I thought of my mother changed because it had to. Because now I'm a parent. Now she becomes an advisor, and her position in my life changes. And when I have grandchildren, same thing. And that's why I said it's messed up. But the thing that's one of the rites of passage of being a man is having a child, because it will change your outlook and change your worldview. It just does. And if you don't have it, and if you don't have it, you got to find another way to get it. Now, how the other way to actually get it is a lot of self-examination, which is a lot of self-examination, a lot of inner work that you have to do to actually get to the same place without that impetus that you have with a kid. Because now, see, the thing is, it's easy. It's harder to actually put your mother on the stand about being a parent or what she thinks or how she raised you, blah blah blah, because you haven't been put in. You can't judge her because you're not in the same position, because you're not a parent. As soon as you become a parent, now you can judge your mother, because now you're in the same position and you can do things differently. Said, okay, this is the way you raised me. I didn't like it. I don't think it was right. I don't think it's the way to go. So now how can I prove? Because now I'm raising my child. I'm getting better results. So I'm not saying that, well, I'm not making a case for men having children and not having children and getting married or what, that kind of stuff. I'm just stating the fact.
Okay, no, and
it's harder to cut off your mother's apron string, cut from your mother's apron strings when you don't have a child yourself. Most guys that have a child, okay, now it's easy.
Okay,
mama, okay, I have a kid. This is my kid. Blah blah blah. This is my house. You know what, Ma? Sit down and shut up.
Okay, no, now I understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, but the point is, a lot of times we have these these conversations, though, is that never gets put out there. So what happens is we got people on autopilot that really are making these and I hear it because the thing is, I've been on these hangouts. So when different, and this is regardless of who it is, when people are making like certain points, regardless of who it is, there's certain patterns that you pick up on based on what people have said, and they may think people forget, but it's like, okay, this connects to this connects to this is what's driving that behavior. And it's like, dude, that's what's driving the behavior. Like, people and black people tend to do this, whether men or women, is because even Mr. Research did this video talking about Cynthia G talking with Robert Perkins. And every time Cynthia G would talk about black men, the one thing that Mr. Research talked about was, he said, number one, you got to recognize Cynthia G is really from Seattle, and niggas really ain't shit in Seattle. He didn't say it like that, but he kind of said that. He said they're like in their own like pocket dimension. Yeah. So if you know what black men are about in Seattle, then you would kind of understand more about why she is the way she is. And then he said, on top of that, he wasn't a defender. He was just saying that as a fact because he's been there. He said he was talking about they were wearing Jerry curls and shit like 15, 20 years after the fact because they just didn't have that kind of black exposure. They just didn't know who they were. They were like super disconnected, even for like African Americans. And then he said, on top of that, her father, when it comes to crack and all of that, so she sees black men through that lens. Okay. And he proved that by stating every time she would talk, she would always mention her father constantly in this one video. And he had others. And now keep in mind, Mr. Research defended Cynthia G against Corey Holcomb, which I don't agree with and whatever. So I know he's kind of objective about it. But the point is, a lot of black people, men and women, are making these arguments based on their own personal experiences.
Of course.
Yeah, that informs me, but that's not like a lot of dysfunction. I've been around dysfunction, but right now I'm not around dysfunction. It was funny because Foxfire talked about North Raleigh. I live in North Raleigh. And,
Okay.
and North Raleigh is, I wouldn't call it the suburb. It's kind of like a more mixed area, but it's not like a typical, you know how it is when you're on a black boulevard or black street, where it's like stuff like Mini City. And I mean, you can tell when you in the white zone and the black zone. This is more, this would technically qualify as like the white zone.
Okay.
Even though there's mixed people in it.
Okay.
So,
okay, it's still it's still a vanilla suburb, but they have it with a sprinkle of chocolate chips. Huh?
Yeah, it's because it's other people. Like for instance, the road I live on is a road that they've been doing a lot of flipping of houses. So they'll build the houses up, flip, but it's really indicative of a lot of townhouses. That's really older townhouses, and I've stayed there because I get a really good deal despite the rents are going up, and my cable is free. They don't know how to turn it off, so I fuck it. That's a base of my operation. But my point is, the way he described the area, because he went to Duke and stuff, he knows this area. This is more of a full area, but it's just, you deal with a lot of people that are not trying to be around. I'm not around that bullshit. And I'm around black people. I'm around black people that they got a past, but that's not what they are now. They either own their businesses, they got children, they don't do that, and that we are around each other under the idea of trying to make it, number one, and number two, these are people that even like the local police chiefs has come down and giving them awards and stuff, like at a barbershop and stuff like that, because they interface with them to talk to the greater community and stuff like that. So my only point is, I speak from what I know, yes, but I also look into stuff and do research. My opinions are not formed from my mommy and daddy issues. That's my point. Like, look, my mom was the youngest in her family, and I'm the oldest, so we don't a lot of way we butt heads are diametrically opposed to just our position in the hierarchy. And another thing too is I know I'm not the favorite, so but I'm a cool with that. And see, a lot of folks are not cool with their position as far as their family. They haven't accepted it, so they become defined by it. And this is not just men, this is with women too. They have not come to a thing where, okay, my dad wasn't shit or something like that, but my mom chose that dude, and now I'm choosing the same dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm making but what happens is people make all these bullshit ass excuses, and then they're trying to make they're trying to make platforms over bullshit. I want to make a platform, because a lot of YouTubers, I'm gonna keep it real, it sounds like they're having therapy sessions.
Yeah. Well, basically, that's how I come to YouTube in the first place. They actually put it out into the universe as a therapy session, and some people listen. You get some kind of feedback. That's what it's there for.
Yeah,
most people do that,
which is fine. But when when you start pushing out all these untruths and stuff, and you start saying, I view the world a certain type of way, so I'm gonna lie about it, like a Terrazin, a Cynthia G, a Chrissy, even a Tommy Sotomayor, because you say he's an entertainer, but people don't take him as entertainment.
No, I mean, I just give my opinion. I know people take him seriously, and I don't.
Yeah, no, and that's true, but people do take him seriously.
Yeah, they do,
and that makes him well, he's not on YouTube anymore, so it's cares, so whatever. But my point is, a lot of people take these people seriously, and so yeah, it just is what it is. But going back to that, I know we touched on quite a few things here with the stuff. We've already talked about
it's your session. You go anywhere you want, man.
No, I got it. I'm actually checking off this stuff as we talk. We're actually moving along. We've gone through the Stephen Clark. I'm gonna come back to the I'm gonna go now. I want to jump on the classic. I'm trying to see, looking at the chat to see what this, because I haven't been looking at the chat.
Yeah, well, it's your show, man. Don't have to look at the chat. What they say is pretty much immaterial as far as that.
No, it is. But I like to see
you're here to talk to me, not to the chat, because you can talk to the chat on your channel.
Yeah. So see there request.
Well, we had 232 people watching, which is
okay,
for impromptu. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, man, it is. Yeah, I feel special.
Oh yeah, they're probably waiting for some drama. But go ahead.
Well, it's gonna be open. It's gonna be open. I mean, you know, what's it called? Like Angry Man is invited in case one of the some of
Oh,
the
let me check
instigators
my
want to go shout.
let me check my email real quick because I didn't put it in there. I didn't put the link in the chat until you're actually ready for it.
Well, I mean, email him.
If he wants to get on, he'll actually email me. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because he might
So,
be
because
doing something else.
Open
I'm
it
not.
up. I'll open it up, but I want to get through these things first. I'm
Well,
actually
no,
just
no,
doing
that's it's your time, man. That's I
let me
just
see.
I
Go how
had.
about so now I want to talk about real quick. I want to jump on what a classic black man is. So one thing that I never anticipated, I never thought about, which
Mm,
you mentioned, is a classic black. You got to have certain badges to say you're a classic black man.
mm-hmm.
You cannot be like there's levels of being classic black man, you know, as far as being in touch with your manhood. But if you're not a productive black male, a sovereign productive black male, you can't then say you a classic black man. You just can't. And one thing I want to define a classic black man as is this idea that you can't be blue collar and be a classic black man. That's not true. If you've read, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad or the cash flow quadrant, you know, there's four sides of the cash flow quadrant. There is the employee side, there is the self-employed side. So the employee side is the upper left, the self-employed side is the lower left.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a business owner, which is the upper right, and an investor, which is a lower right.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a let's say you work in blue collar, but you're
Mm-hmm.
self-employed and then you also operate self-employed, you can
Mm-hmm.
still say you're a classic black man.
Okay.
Because if you own your because you're a productive sovereign black man.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, so if you are a mechanic
Mm-hmm.
and you own your own mechanic shop, or you're investing in your own business in that way, you can say you're a classic black man, because a
Mm-hmm.
classic black man is also about presentation. And if you look at what's behind the scenes, like if you look under the hood, if you're a guy that you make your own money, you
Mm-hmm.
move through the world differently than somebody that, let's say, is an employee. Let's say if you make 40,000, like 40, let's say $35,000, and you own your own you have your own townhouse or you're in your own apartment, you're taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You move through the world differently than somebody that may be making $50,000 or $60,000 and then they work for a white guy or work for a guy. You can do things that that guy might not be able to do, even though you don't necessarily have the same income. So oftentimes we have this, it's about having skills. And it really doesn't matter if those skills are blue collar and white collar, because quite frankly, white collar is usually not synonymous with being self-employed. White collar
Mm-hmm.
is usually synonymous with working for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the same time, when you say what a classic black man is, the first prerequisite is, are you a productive black man? And when I say productive, do you have your own apartment? Do you have, and it doesn't have to be, are you, because sometimes it's smart to be rooming with somebody. But
Mm-hmm.
my point is, are you a sovereign person? Are you living with your mom? Are you living with your girl because you have to? Because when I say rooming with somebody, I'm not talking about necessarily a female. Because if you're young and you're in your 20s and you're rooming with somebody, that's a better situation for you. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when dudes are rooming with females, they're doing that because they want female. That's a 50-50 relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or that's how I'm not saying that's always what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of times is what it is. And then they want to use manhood as this subjective artificial construct, saying what a woman should just submit to my position just cuz. I don't
Mm-hmm.
advocate for women submitting to unworthy men. This is why we constantly say you all need to pay attention to who you having kids with. Because my personal position as far as the single mother argument is, I don't care who, if women want to have sex with thugs, you take what comes with that, but don't have their kids and then think somebody else is supposed to come in and save your position. Now, if a man wants to do that, that's up to him. But the reality is, stepfathers are really not respected as much as they used to be. And as a result, you don't have as many of them. It's not that, black men just say fuck it. It's just that's what it is. So going back to the classic man thing is, being a classic black man is you having how you being productive, and number two, you having a certain respect
Mm-hmm.
for what you're putting out there in the world as a black man. Now, it does not mean that you don't have dreads or anything like that, or you need to be clean cut, or what they call it, the what they call that argument where you need to the presentation argument, where you need to look a certain type of way for white people to be comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what respectability politics.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, yeah.
not
Well,
necessarily talking.
basically doing enough, basically being on code and assimilating enough to actually interface with white society.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, don't tell me that you pulling your pants, you having your pants sagging is a sign of you being real, especially if you north of 25. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say you a classic black man. There's certain standards. I mean, I'm not really gonna say what hairstyle you need to have, but if you sagging your pants, don't fucking tell me you a classic black man and you think that shit is cool. If you
Well,
even got people around you that really does that, and if I point at somebody and I say, wow, why you around that dude, and you say, nah, man, that dude's my barber, or that dude knows how to fix cars or shit, you know, if you can't say that and that's just a dude that's around the way,
mm,
then you're saying that you accept that. That's my point. So it's not real, because oftentimes we get into this, well, I'm educated and I got a degree, because we
mm,
know there's a whole bunch of people out here that got degrees and ain't got no money.
mm-hmm.
You know, people that got degrees and ain't got no job.
Yeah.
So just because you've been trained collegiately in a certain thing doesn't mean you really have a good standard on what life is and how to move through life. That's why you have so many people that they invest so much in titles. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times the white man will sell you a title and not give you no goddamn money because they know you dumb enough to buy that shit. That's real talk. And they
Well,
do that to women just like they do that to men with vagina. Anyway, go ahead.
what I'm saying is, if you have if you have a big enough title, then that's basically it's a license to hustle. So, you
That's true. And when
I,
I say title, I don't mean necessarily like a doctorate or anything
okay,
or
yeah,
like something like that. I'm talking about like a job title.
yeah, oh
Like,
yeah,
for
yeah,
instance, I used to be, somebody would say, oh, well, you're the sales manager of this site.
mm-hmm.
And they try, and I was like, no, I don't give a damn about the title. What this money looking like? And it was funny how they were cool with giving me the title, but I had to fight to get the certain money, and they didn't want to like make that. So what they did is they tried to, when I worked for the company, I worked for a telecommunications company. They tried to be slick about giving me my money. Now I put time in this company, and put effort into it, but and then they wanted to play games like they didn't want to make the title permanent. They wanted to leave that hanging, even though I was effectively doing the job. But they didn't. I didn't care at that time because I was like, okay, fine. But guess what? I'm making X amount of dollars per hour, and they didn't know how much money I was making per hour, how much money I had built up. So I was making like $18 an hour, and I'm working hell of a amount of overtime because as long as they didn't give me that title, they also didn't make me salary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So they started coming back saying, why is this dude making so much money compared to the other people? And can we justify what he was doing? Well, they could justify what I was doing because my performance was there, and people were getting paid.
mm-hmm.
But they didn't like that. So it took them a while, but they ended up actually, I don't care how they did it, but they ended up actually giving me the title and giving me the salary I wanted, which was a
Yeah,
little bit less than I was doing, but I wasn't working as much overtime. But see, that's how I made them do what I wanted to do. And then that's when they sent my ass to the Philippines.
oh, okay,
You
they're
know?
actually trained and all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, they sent me, I think they sent me there because I was mad. Because it was supposed to be for 6 weeks and
Mm,
it turned into 5 months.
okay,
But again, I used that, I flipped that because they were paying for it. So I
okay,
got to save money. So it was, but that's what you got to do sometimes. But the point is, if you let them, they'll sell you a title. And if you say, okay, I'm going to take the title, and then they ain't paying nothing. So you got a lot of these people talking about I'm educated, like
mm.
Issa Rae. Issa Rae educated, but at the end of the day, she couldn't take care of herself.
No, she would. Well, she can now, but she decided to do something different. Yeah, that's true. Just because you have a education, which you should take advantage of, that doesn't mean that you're doing. That doesn't mean that you're classic or that you're
Yeah.
viable. You know,
Yeah.
and that's how come the EL title actually came in because you have guys like that. In fact, you got a lot of guys claiming the EL title aren't educated or viable.
Well,
You know.
well, let's even talk about the educated lane wording.
Hmm.
So apparently that comes from Sergeant Willie P. That's what people say.
That's what people
Um,
say. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. And Sergeant Willie Pete definitely says that. You got
Mm-hmm.
to understand about Sergeant Willie Pete that Sergeant Willie Pete was raised in the suburbs, and Sergeant Willie Pete comes from a family. This is his words, by the way, not mine. He's raised in the suburbs, and
Mm-hmm.
this is a big dude from what he says. This
Yeah,
big dude
6'5".
that actually works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not a dude that like you see him straight up, you gonna want to pick a fight with him.
Yeah.
Now I haven't seen him, but this is based on what he says, and people have validated that. So like he's over 6 foot, like he's like a Lawrence, but like
No,
muscle,
no, he's
like
big.
like
He's more the size of say like Tariq,
oh
6'5".
yeah,
Big dude.
okay. And Tariq is a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
Tariq is like you because I've seen him in person, and
Mm-hmm.
you be like, wow, you could be a lot more of an a-hole than you are. Like he chooses to do things comedically, but if he wanted to like Debo stuff, you see like, wow, you could do that. So you almost kind of appreciate more how he does stuff in a more petty way, because you kind of understand, like even you kind of see why Tommy got intimidated when he ran up on him like he did. Because when you got to do like that coming up on you, it's like that was funny as hell. Even Vlad got mad about that. But my point, okay, he has this mentality though where his mom ran the household. This is what as Peter says. His mom ran the household, and his dad was more of a submissive guy, which is kind of like a guy that's like, I'm not gonna, try to fight for power. It's like if the shit works, it works, and you know what I'm saying? And I think that did something to him. Can you hear me? You still there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The computer
Okay.
froze for a second.
Okay. So yeah. So my only point is
Mm-hmm.
that this is the dude that came up with the educated lame argument.
Yeah.
Now you compare that. So and that's not to disqualify him, because I've said before, SWP has about 10 good five mic conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and he's contributed what he's contributed to like the Manosphere in the earlier version. So I
Mm-hmm.
respect it, but at the same time, you got to understand that this is not a dude that really represents the true hybrid of where a lot of black men stand. And yeah, he's in medical from what I'm to understand too, but that's a dude that's big as fuck that looks like Tariq. And if you look at him, and he's even said it, when black women actually get in front of him, if he doesn't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't see him as that.
Yeah.
That's the dude that came up with that term. Now he considers himself an educated lame, so he was doing that to describe himself as well.
Yeah.
So my point is, when people hear that, education should not be a synonymous with being lame.
I don't.
And I know that
It's not that what it isn't. Okay, because you have the masters of the universe who are also highly educated that aren't considered lame.
but Masters of the Universe are so rare that you might as well not even talk about them, because only like one, not even 1% of black women are ever going to really have a shot at really getting those type of guys.
Yeah.
The way they act now.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to go through some Nicole Michelle feminine school or something like that for those guys. You talk about like the lower level versions of like an Elon Musk type of black person. Because when you talk about dragons, because when you talk about black men that are like that, like okay. In fact, I'm curious. Give me an example. Would you? I'm not married to any of this stuff. I'm just asking you. Would you consider Byron Allen a master of the universe?
Yeah, billionaire. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to keep in mind the type of dragons that he's slaying. He's also slaying white supremacist dragons, trying to fight.
He's also not married to a black woman either. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just talking about what. Yeah. But he does talk about black. Well, not. He fights for blackness in his own way, as far as media real estate. And by the way, a lot of people don't understand he owns a group called Entertainment Media that he also bought the Weather Channel for $300 million. He owns a group called Entertainment Media. He put out that movie Hostiles with Christian Bale, the Western, and he did 47 Meters Down, 5 million, 47 minutes. The dude is very successful. His main money comes from judge shows. Yeah. Now, see, a lot of people would say, if you look at him, they would try to say he's a educated lame, because he came through comedy and stuff like that. Now I'll ask you this another question, because I'm gonna come up with a couple other dudes in a second. Would you say, can an educated lame become a master of the universe?
Sure. If he's got enough talent and gets lucky, yeah, he can be.
So you're never locked. That's another thing too. So you're never locked into these archetypes.
No,
See, a
no.
lot of times the way these are presented is you are always this. You like a lot of people say, do you believe that alpha males are born or made?
I think they're both. And me and Angry Man had the discussion. In fact, he had to concede it. They're both because you can have alpha males that emerge. You can have even Sergeant Charles Faulkner said the same thing. He said he was not an alpha male when he was a kid. In fact, he got picked on. He said somewhere in his teens he made that switch, so he emerged. So you can't have,
Okay.
so human beings are complex. To say an alpha male is born, you can have aggressive. You have also have aggressive males that were born and were aggressive, and all of a sudden they become pookies that sleep on a girlfriend's couch.
Do you believe that being an alpha male can be subject to the environment that you're in,
Yeah.
whether that's physical, social, whatever?
Alpha male was more of a mindset and a personality. You know, if it's within your personality to make that switch, or for that aspect of your personality to emerge, the environment can inform it. There's some look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates is not an alpha male, and probably never will be. He is what he is. He's clumsy. He's awkward. He's going to be. He's rich. He's a billionaire. He has some pull, but he's still Bill
But
Gates.
what I would
Yeah.
say too, so out being a kid, so I would say this. Bill Gates, but would you say Bill Gates is, I'm not trying to make the argument he's an alpha male. I'm just asking. Would you say Bill Gates is a leader in his field though?
Yeah.
So isn't the subject of an alpha male, because when you look at business, because
Mm-hmm.
he's all of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the history of Bill Gates,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me ask you another question. Would you think Steve Jobs is an alpha male?
Hmm.
Because he's not as clumsy and he had as Bill Gates.
Well, he's more charismatic. I would say if out of the two, I would say Steve Jobs is more of an alpha male than Bill Gates.
Okay, so the reason I asked that question is because if you're looking at would you say Mark Zuckerberg is an alpha male?
No.
What about Jeff Bezos?
From what I've seen of him, I would say no.
Okay, the reason I say that is because if you're looking at the technology field,
Mm-hmm.
because these are not people that were just born. Zuckerberg probably closer to anybody, but Bezos and all them fought and clawed in the heat of battle in business.
Mm-hmm.
So would you think, so is it not true that you can be an alpha in the realm of business? Because I've been told that there's different type of alphas. I've been told this by a woman, Veronica Conway.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that there are financial alphas, sexual alphas, physical alphas, and business alphas that in their lane you can't touch. It's just like, for instance, if you look at, let's take a typical NBA basketball player, and
Mm-hmm.
all intents and purpose, you say somebody that made it to the NBA is an alpha male. Would you agree with that or no?
The majority of them, yes.
Okay, so I got a question. Would you think Kawhi Leonard is an alpha male?
I would say no.
Okay, okay.
He don't. I would say, well, alpha male. He's a lone wolf. He's an independent, and that's a different from being an alpha male.
Okay, so
An
the
alpha
reason
male
why
is
I asked it,
an alpha male is somebody that people naturally follow. Bezos. You follow Bezos because he writes your check, not because if you meet him in a bar or meet him in business, you would follow him. He can get other people around him to actually do that for him, like Bill Gates. That's like Bill Gates hired what's his name, uh, his business partner. I'm trying to remember the name. Owns the Clippers. Can't remember his name
no,
offhand.
I know what you're talking. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
No,
Okay, that's it.
yeah, because he's the aggressive side. Okay, he's the attack.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got so what you're saying. Okay, and this is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But this is very interesting you say this, because I said when you're trying to craft like a hierarchy of black men, I personally say the business guys typically go first because they're the ones that's able to set the tone and bring in the resources, kind of like your partners. And then below that, you have your skill guys, which are guys that are very skilled at what needs to be done, but they necessarily, even though they could become partners and bring in the money, but they're not necessarily capable of bringing in the money. Kind of see like a Donald Trump versus people when what he's running is not a piece of shit. He brings in under him to able to execute what he
Mm-hmm.
sells to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so and so you're saying that really Bill Gates would be more of a skill guy
Mm-hmm.
than okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a different
Bomber is a stronger personality of the two, even though they're business
okay.
partners.
So you're talking about your ability to create that magnetic charge, that kind of that
And so
gravitational
the
pull.
gravitational pull. Yeah.
Is like the biggest, and you're saying that's the biggest definer of anything.
Yeah.
Okay,
As far as alpha male. Yeah.
and then that person, and then would you also say, as far as personality trait or mindset, is the willingness not only because that's kind of like the show and prove with
Mm-hmm.
that man. You either have it or you don't
Either have it or
at
you don't.
any given point, at any given time. Versus the other side of that is kind of like I call it the James Harden side, where James Harden had a want to be the man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's why he left Oklahoma City, or like Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. I mean, you can be a what do they call it, what do they call them, apex alpha, which is like a Shaq and Kobe or a James Harden or somebody.
So what's the difference between an apex alpha and like a regular alpha male? Hello. Y'all, let me know if you can hear us. By the way, and to answer your question, no, Tim Duncan, I wouldn't say is an alpha male. Actually, man, this dialogue is a lot more productive than I thought it would be, and that's more because of me. So you can't hear us, okay? Truth. What up, man? You need to hit me up on my channel because you was spitting some hot fire. Okay. Yeah, they can't hear you, BGS. So anyway, we're actually moving quite along. Like, to be honest with you, we're getting, oh shit, what happened to my paper? Damn. Let me see. Let me know if you can hear us, BGS, because they're saying they can hear me, but they can't hear you. Okay, he left the call, so he's coming back. I'm gonna talk about one other thing, and then yeah, because I've gone through a lot of this stuff. Yeah, he's coming back. So I've talked about. That's crazy. Let me see if this hangout is still playing. Okay. Yeah, he'll be back. But anyway, he'll be back. Yeah, we're gonna start to bring people on in a second because I want to, as usual, I like, get other people's opinion. All right, what up, BGS?
All right. Yeah. Computer crash.
No, it happened to me, man. We were spitting hot fire on another hangout I was doing, and my dumb ass, because what I was trying to experiment with is hosting it in my house,
Mm-hmm.
but then leave, and then I come in on another one of my profiles, and I ended up deleting it. And it was actually that night
Mm-hmm.
that I had called in, with guns blazing, and
Mm-hmm.
then we actually had some Jay Sean and all that had some really good points. But the last thing that I want to talk about and then I'll bring some other people on for a little bit, is this idea of what sacrifice is. So
Uh-huh.
one, because we've already established it, like alpha, beta, all that. That's kind of a subjective term. There are certain things that define it above everything else, but the way people present that is
Mm-hmm.
like you're alpha if you do this or don't do that, and usually that's just a way to try to convince people to come to your point of view, and has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the basic premise of what an alpha male is. Because the one thing I did want to say is, by a lot of people's logic, the way they try to articulate their argument is, if a woman is uncooperative with you, then that means that your manhood isn't in place, and therefore you're not an alpha male or whatever.
That's not true.
But that's what a lot of people, the way they present it, because they say, if I say, okay, why the women are not being cooperative, but you can clearly see I got my shit on point on this side. When I say the women, I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about when it comes to, like, you got a kid or something like that. But, and it's like, oh, well, if you do what you're supposed to do, then she go do what she's supposed to do. That's not true all the time. That's true for some women. There's some women that when they get comfortable.
Hold on a second. Let me clear this up. Okay. When it's an open hangout, I'm coming to the chat. I'm getting tired of this. Thank you for your donation, Brother Sanchez. When it's an open hangout, I drop the link. I do at least 16 to 20 hours of open hangouts a week. Okay. Every hangout is not an open hangout. This is not one of those. This is invite only right now. Okay. Stop bugging me for a link. Okay. Capiche? Don't ask no more. If I wanted to drop a link, I'd have dropped the link. If it was open hangout, the link would have been dropped. Stop asking. Thank you. All right, continue.
Yeah, and you know, folks are saying, like, don't be scared to say names. I mean, anybody that says that, you know, that tries to make the argument that you need to, you know, any nigga that says do the dishes, how about that? Because that's how I interpreted that shit. Where if you do what the fuck you supposed to do, a woman is naturally gonna do what she's supposed to do. If a woman is in her right mind space, then yes.
If that woman's down for your program, then you're doing what you're supposed to do. Then she'll stay in her place. If she's not down for your program, it doesn't matter what you do. She's not going to be. She's not going to do. She basically, if that woman's not for you, she's not down for your program. I don't care what you do, how alpha you think you are. She's going to bail on you.
Thank you. Or if she doesn't bail on you, she's gonna be an antagonist to your situation.
She's gonna be an antagonist.
Yeah, and that's really the word I like to use, because this is not trying to say that women are the enemy. Black women's problem right now, what black men mainly complain about, is not so much that we see them as the enemy, because a lot of dudes that go that far are dudes that pretty much, I know I'm accused of going that far. I'm not. I'm just raw with it. But a lot of times you see women that are antagonists, and we're talking about this at the group level. Now, if we're talking about this, and they use what a lot of dusty dudes don't do as a way to kind of justify their antagonism. Now, if we're talking about individually, my thing is, if you have a kid with somebody and you're having a kid in a dysfunctional way, now that, look, I'm not saying that if you have a kid and you're not married with a state title, then I'm automatically consider that dysfunction. The it more in me is not going to say that. But if you have a woman with a kid where y'all were just fucking, and now this baby is here because she wants to keep it because her biological bullshit tells her to keep it, just basically fundamental emotion and not in anything that stands on anything like real, then what happens, the relationship is usually born out of people jockeying for power with a kid in the middle. And this is when a dude is engaged, because a lot of people don't talk about dudes that don't give a fuck don't show up to court. Dudes that don't fuck have nothing to lose. So if you're dealing with a dude that don't really got money like that, or don't really got anything to lose, there's really nothing you can leverage him with. So when a lot of dudes do the complaining, they got kids and stuff like that, they only do the complaining because they're at the table, regardless of what you do to the table. And see, that's another thing that does not get said. Now, when we talk about people that are childless, in reference to, you know, because people want to make these arguments about we've had these things on and off all these hangouts about relationships and saying you're afraid to get into a relationship. The Igmore position is not to never get into relationships. The Igmore position is to protect yourself at all costs. Number one. And number two, don't get into a relationship with the state vis-a-vis a marriage. Because that empowers a woman to, because if you give them a gun, they're gonna use it.
Yeah, they're likely to use it. Yeah. Well, 80% was because it was 75-80% of black women divorce.
So that's not to say don't get into a relationship and don't deal with women. See, when people go there, they're trying to blow conversation. And they're trying to really not have the conversation that's going to lead to them having to show and prove what they have to have. So, and it gets muddled in that. So it's kind of like, I'm not talking about not getting into a relationship. I'm talking about your ability to say no. Black men have the ability to walk away. You have, and when I say that, I'm not talking about if you have a kid. I'll say this: if you have a kid, you need to try to do everything you can to get custody of that kid. Period. Like you, and because even if you don't get custody of that kid, if she knows that that's what you're aiming for, then she's gonna have her stuff tight, because anything she does can now be used against her for to get kid. But a lot of times the argument is really like, I want her to not just be who she is. But the reality is you had a kid with somebody that's not down with your program, and that's what creates some problems. She wasn't really for you. You got her for that moment, like Corey Holcomb says. I get her in a moment of weakness, but she know I ain't about shit, right?
Yeah.
And then a woman gets buyer's remorse, but you're dealing with a woman for buyer's remorse for 18 years. And women that have the emotions of buyer's remorse, you can't always wild out in a store, but you can wild out on a dude, because the store can call the police on you. Dude can't. Yeah. That's that of aggressive. So my point is, when people say don't get into relationships with single mothers, it's not really about single mothers, because if you got one kid, it depends. But at the end of the day, you can't expect men to say, okay, men just need to take black women as they are.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into that, especially for the viable men. Most viable, the depending on where you want to set the bar for viable men at, whether it's at 40,000, where is it at 50,000, right? There's only, if it's 50,000, there's only like 1.5 million black men.
I think you can make exceptions for cost of living. So if you're making like 40,000,
okay, if you say 40,000, then you add another couple of million. So we're talking about 4 million black men that are actually viable. Okay.
Yeah.
The last, in fact, who was it? Bronze Curls actually showed me the chart. Between the ages of 18 and 35, there's at least 30% of a third of your black females that don't have any children, that are unmarried and don't have kids. So in other words,
repeat that one more time.
Between the ages of 18 and 35, there's at least a third of your black women that don't have kids. So that's probably anywhere from 46 million black women that don't have any children.
You said 46 million?
From 46 million.
Okay, so my response to that is, you cut that in half, because CBC says that estimates that black women from 20 and up, so that doesn't account for 18 to 20, but 20 and up are 53% are obese. So we're not saying overweight, we're saying obese. Then for the average STD rate for black women, it also goes to black women, because just because they ain't having kids don't mean they not fucking. Which I don't know what that number is, so I'm not gonna put something out there, but we know that number ain't no 5% or something like that. So I could cut that number down. Now, granted,
you can't cut the number down, because we're talking about single mothers. Are those women single mothers?
Who?
Are those? If they don't have, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're obese. Doesn't matter if they have disease or whatever, because you could have a single mother that has it too.
But because my thing is, I'm adding other factors, because single mother.
No, we can't add other factors. We got to get to this one first.
Okay, fine.
And then we add other factors. Okay, because you're not adding all those other factors when we talk about how come you don't want to deal with single mothers, right?
Okay, fine. We'll stay with that. But my point is, that's my answer to the question too. So that creates kind of a false number. But it's because
not really. If you don't want to, if you don't want to sacrifice with a, because you're gonna have, because I believe they're gonna be equally distributed, because you're gonna have single mothers that are overweight and single mothers that are fine. I think the same thing with the women that don't have any children. And that's from 18 to 35. In fact, the 50% rate, the median rate is like 23 or 24 for black women. So in other words, for black women, say 25 and under, half of them don't have kids.
So, and another thing too, what we have to talk about, nothing. Okay, so to stick specifically with the single mother situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what we also got to explore, it's not just, oh, they're a single mother. So just off that, and I'm not talking about the obesity thing. I'm talking about the profile, because then what you got to do is start to separate the profile as far as what these single mothers deal with. And these are profiles that, by the way, could deal with women that don't have kids as well. But the point is, when okay, so black, when you look at, okay, what black women expect from black men, let me that. Give me like 3 core things that you think black, like, and I'm not even talking about crazy black. I'm just talking about a functional black woman.
A functional black woman. The core things
or women, or let's say women in general.
Okay. Expect a core thing that a woman one that you do have a program, okay, that you do know what you want and you are actively trying to get it no matter what that is.
That's reasonable.
Okay. Now, number 2, that you're able, as a woman, you're able to take care of yourself and her.
That's okay.
And the third thing is that you're reliable. Now, the other intangibles or attractiveness and all the other kind of stuff that are intangibles that actually come into it, that's different from woman to woman. But, those are the 3 core things that women want.
That's a good one. That was much better. That was real good. That was real good. Now, my question to you is, if I ask black, even if I look at a place that has functional black women in it, I'm talking about, if I look, okay, where are black women that I know are on, are either on point or solid, and if I ask them randomly, what do they look for in a man? How many, like, if I say top 5 things, do you think those things are going to be in the top 5, or do you think it's going to be the superficial look type of stuff? And then you're going to try to make that dude into the things that you just said.
Okay, it depends on her age. Okay, it depends on her age and her level of maturity, but those three, but in a serious relationship, all women basically look for the same things in a serious relationship. They all look for the same thing. Now, now if you talk about, say for a younger woman outside the top 3, is he fun? Okay. Number 1 thing, no matter what the dude looks like, the dude can be he'd be 6'4", he could be 5'4". If he's fun to be around, if he's fun to be around, young women will actually rock with him over most other dudes. Because women like to have fun, they like to enjoy themselves, they like to be entertained. So if you're fun to be around as a man, say you tell jokes or you have a crew where you guys are going from club to club or doing kind of fun things, young women will rock with you. Now, when she's past 30, that's not as important because she ready to have kids. She wants a family. She wants stability. So fun is not as important to her. So as far as the core things are the same. The thing is, when you get, it depends on her level of maturity for the other 5 or 10 things. Okay.
So, okay. So that number 1, that was a very, 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 very like little golden like bomb you kind of drop on because a lot of these guys that complain the most about women, if it comes down to it, it's even with the educated lame thing. This is for a lot of those guys that claim that moniker but really don't earn it. Usually that's indicative of talking about boring. Usually when I hear sisters say lame, they mean boring. More than anything. And that goes against what you said, not against, but goes what you said with fun. So if somebody wants to say, okay, what is the biggest thing that a lot of guys can do, especially with black women, but this is true for women in general, is you need to take inventory of your life, and it's just your life create an aura of fun. Meaning, can you project out, even from a marketing standpoint, this image fun guy to be around? And that's actually I would love Kevin to do a video about that because image wise he has that. It's just a matter of putting the other things together to kind of rotate around that.
Say women go for say a good looking dude that doesn't dance over an average looking dude that does dance, that loves to dance. most of the women, well, he looks good on the wall, but guess what? This dude can dance, and he I have a lot more fun with this dude going out dancing or dancing in the park or wherever. A lot more women will actually flock to that dude.
Yeah, I got a question for people in the chat, and I'm not looking at the chat, but that's something I want the audience to hear. Can you honestly say that you're a resource for fun? I can tell you right now, I'm not a resource for fun. I'm a straight like that. Like I can create the image if I need to,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't say that like I've organized my life to be a resource around fun. Part of that because I'm 31, but another thing is social media has never been easier to do that if you need to do that. And I've seen
Yeah.
dudes do that.
Why do you, okay, getting back to the street niggas, right? Street dudes. Why do you think women like being around street dudes?
Yeah, for that very reason.
They like the street dudes. Love street dudes. Want to, uh, a lot of them. They're not particularly responsible. The thing is, what do they want to do? They want to do the same thing that women want to do. They want to have fun. Whether I go drinking or whether I go to the party or go to the park and hang out with my boys or a group of people, blah, 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 on and on. They're fun. They're fun to be around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, see, me, most dudes that are legit classic black men do not have a problem with street dudes. I don't. It's like, okay, when you around me, because you around me because we doing whatever we're doing, and that doesn't all have to be serious stuff. Like I said, I talk about sports. I talk about stuff like that all the time. I talk about non-priority arguments all the time. But the question is, and I don't have this thing, well, they get all the pussy, so I'm jealous. No, and part of that is I know I can go overseas, do what the fuck I want to do. Because, that's another thing. And that's another thing I've always said. I know we're kind of getting off topic with the women thing. This is a big reason why I tell black men to travel, even if it's in the United States. Because the reality is, the question, what that really speaks to is, what are you going to do to put yourself in the best position? And part of traveling requires you to invest in yourself and expand your mind and go out of the comfort zone. If you're not willing to do that for whatever reason, then pretty much what that indicates to me that you're not serious. Because if you don't want to do that, then if I put other things on the table that you need to do, you're not going to want to do that either. So really, you want to complain. And what I don't mind, see, I feel the thing that I had an issue with so much with what Ron Wells was saying, and I know he didn't mean it this way because I'm also subscribed to his paid service, so I put money behind.
So what did he say that you had issue with?
Well, it was just this aura of like all black men are on YouTube. Everybody that's on YouTube is just bitching and complaining, and I felt like
that was saying you felt like. That's not what he said, but that's what you felt like.
Yeah, and I didn't really comment on his actual video. I mean, because he hearts my videos all on my comments all the time because I give positive, insightful comments. But at that point, I listened to half of it. I was like, okay, whatever. Somebody probably said some stupid shit, and you try to help them, and
yeah, it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. It keeps coming up.
I understood what he was saying, but it was like, hey, I ain't trying to hear this shit. I'll go to the next video. That's all I was. It was over for me at that point. Then when you had the video you did, I didn't even look at that video. And I said, oh, okay, I saw that. It's okay, you're just reinforcing what he said because I mean, I know Rom speaks on that real shit. So, it is what it is, right? He's the field master, right? And then
thanks, Jack Spade. He said, Jack Spade, since my browser at work won't allow the video format, if anyone gets out of pocket, stuff one of these singles in their mouth, especially old Eddie there. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Jack. Whatever. Now, me and Edward are cool, okay?
Yeah, but see, then again, it's always funny because I'm not here for entertainment. Like I like people like Professor Black Truth. Did they say straight up, like, if you not here for what I'm here for, fucking unsubscribe. Because a lot of dudes out here, like when I'm here for entertainment, I'm here. When I'm not, I'm not. And when I talk about stuff like this, I'm really serious. Because if more than anything, I just want to understand where people are coming from. This is not about, I don't gotta be right. But if you're inconsistent, I'm gonna call that out. And if people get mad about me calling that out, well, I'm not gonna stop doing that. That's just how I'm wired. And I would expect people to call me out when I'm not inconsistent, but whatever. But yeah, so but my thing, I didn't start to have an issue with what was being said until all this other stuff got lumped into it, like alpha, beta, you a beta, if you don't do what the fuck I say. And I'm like, okay, now people are running game. And that I don't like. So yeah. But anyways,
which is why I had him on for I actually the women actually wanted to do something on it, which is why you heard their voice, which is and he actually Angry Man actually came on the Friday hangout talking about it, alpha male and all this stuff, and said, okay, now I'm gonna put you on the seat on Saturday so all the people that agree or disagree can come in and actually dialogue with you.
Not even the only one that really says that. And see, that's another thing. Everybody keeps thinking I don't want to, like, look, man, if I say Angry Man, I'm talking like, look, if I'm talking to him, there's nothing I've ever been scared to say to him. He's not even really the only one in like the main one I'm talking about. Like when you look at the Manosphere, it's a lot of people that out there. That's
like whom? I mean, you know, like whom? I mean, I really don't pay attention to it like
ART
that.
is another one that uses that. You know, Rom sometimes he says like pre-select and select, but he's explained it. Tariq Nasheed said that. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that put that out there, and it's a lot of that black your audience that subscribe to that mindset. You know, and what it is, because they don't run. So it's not about one person. So people are saying that in the chat. Don't be scared. Look, man, I have never when have I not said something to somebody? That's I don't.
No, that's how I come and say don't engage the chat. Don't if you want them in here, I'll open it up. Okay, if you want them in here.
Off, but I'm just saying that. So anyway, to get this mother thing off, because I want to finish this, and then we can let them on. And I'll stay for another hour. But my thing is, I get all of that, but at the same time, you know what I would tell. I got quite a few female cousins, and what I would tell them is, you can't just be like, I want a relationship when I want a relationship and think it's okay. You all can open your thighs and then know a penis will find its way there. If you just want sex.
So you're talking about women, you're talking about men. Who are you talking about now?
Women.
Okay.
So you can do that for sex. But a burden of a man, like the crutch a man has to bear, he has to use his skills to get sex. He can't just always get that readily available.
Okay.
But a woman, I get a committed relationship readily available either. Because every man, regardless if they're a Pookie and Ray Ray, or whatever they identify as, whether they're alpha male, a beta male, a Pookie and Ray Ray, or a classic black man, if you ask them what are the criteria for who they will have sex with, a lot of men they'll accept garbage for that. But a lot of black men that are garbage black men will not get into a committed relationship that requires more of their time. It's just like if I ask you to donate to buy a product from me, that's a different than me asking you to become a distributor in an MLM company and then try to sell that shit too. Those are two completely different questions. You know, one is an impulse buy, you like it, you don't. Another one is a commitment. And what what black women in particular are trained to believe is they're trained to believe that they can get a committed relationship, or they're supposed to be able to get a committed relationship like they can get sex. And then when they find that out not to be true, then all of a sudden there's no good black men. No,
they're actually trained the opposite. But the thing is, that doesn't mean that their emotions are not going to overtake them. You know, they've been trained the exact opposite.
Okay, well, you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like all I'm saying is, you asking a man for a commitment is a completely different thing. And what a lot of women will do is they'll try to have somebody. Because let's be honest, a lot of babies that are had in black society are had to try to take men off the market. So you're trying to change a man. Cause this ain't like in your day when these dudes with men were good at hiding whole families and shit. Men are not doing that shit anymore. Men are pretty open. If they ain't shit, they ain't
because there's a price tag that comes with it. You can't hide them.
Oh well, you get what I'm. Okay, I'll give you that. But at the same time, Future is look. I'm not trying to act like Future ain't shit or anything like that. But Sierra knew what you were getting with Future. Vivica A. Fox knew what she was getting with 50 Cent. Good and bad. He ain't. And you know Sierra knew what she was getting rid of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
This ain't well, I just landed and then no, you actively pursue both of those men because your agenda changed. You see that? When her agenda changed. She changed what type of men she wanted.
I'm not mad at it, as long as she rocks with the program.
I'm not either, and I'm not mad that she got a dude like Russell. Look, I can look at Russell Wilson like, dude, I know why you got her, but really, but it's not something where I'm gonna be like, oh, that's bullshit. I'm not mad at Here's the thing, I'm not mad at Sierra for putting that out there and do what she needs to do, like that. Damn, I'm not mad at her for that. Yeah. She has the right to try. The point is, if you don't win, don't get mad and say, oh, if you wind up like a Regina King or like a Shania Lathan, don't be like, all black men ain't shit, acting like they ain't no Jennifer Hudson's, like black men that, you know, did what dude did with Jennifer Hudson, and then she did. Stop acting like you gonna blame all black men for your portfolio.
Then what the thing is, what most black men try to do is argue from a woman's standpoint instead of calling her out. We're all raised in the same neighborhoods. We all have black women in our families. We all know the deal. So for black women trying to come along and give you that bullshit, tell her you're on that bullshit.
And just in inverse, I'm not mad at Pookie and Ray Ray for getting that pussy. But at the same time, don't turn and cry to me if you have a gang of kids and then say, I'm not talking one, but then don't say you mad like I'm supposed to come in there and then kind of bail. That's why even Jason Black said that, and I was thank you, because I thought I was crazy. He said, no, you're not supposed to bail people out. You're supposed to guide people, and if they but they have to demonstrate they're on your program as far as the code of conduct. If they want to do what the fuck they want to do, then they can do what the fuck they want to do over there. And the people, you may not have resources, but if you demonstrate that you're going to comply with what the code of conduct is, then we'll find a way to help elevate you, because we need to duplicate people that's on the same code of conduct. Now, obviously, people that have resources are going to get priority because they can invest more in the situation. But at the same time, don't then say I'm a beta male because I divorced myself from a community. Like, the community validated you. So you go do it. Don't sit there and say you need me, but I'm a beta male. And then think I'm supposed to come in there and then actually.
Actually, what I want is whether you're a beta male, you're educated lame, you're a classic man, whatever it is, when you say when you say I'm not in a committed relationship because I can't, because there's I can't find women without kids, which is bullshit. Say I can't find, the reason that I have my standards and these are my standards, and if I can't find a woman I want, then I'm not going to get in a relationship. And I asked one dude that was actually on, I think it was a couple of hangouts ago. He said he doesn't date single mothers. I said, okay. He said, I asked him why. He gave me a whole bunch of reasons. I said, now, let me ask you this question. Do you fuck single mothers? He got quiet. Well, blah, 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 blah. If you have standards, you shouldn't even be fucking single mothers. Why? Because
I agree with that.
Huh?
I agree with that.
And a lot of guys do that. I don't date single mothers. So in other words, you shouldn't even entertain them or have them in your bedroom. Just because she got a fat ass and big titties don't mean she be in your bed, because you have a standard. Either you have a standard or you don't.
Or a lot of niggas, what they'll do is, because here's the thing, and again, I respect Alan Roger Curry. So even though there's things I disagree with him, I absolutely respect, and I'm always pushing his books because I think his books is the most honest.
Gold. They're gold, yeah. His books are gold.
I think every black kid should read every black boy should read his books. And it was funny because, and I'm gonna say this because he said it, O'Shea was interviewing him, and then I said something in the chat, and he took that and blew it up in a good way. He was talking about Edward Anderson said something that's very significant and profound, because basically what I said was Alpha Male Strategies was a hack. Because Alpha, and I didn't say it in a mean way, because that wasn't the whole comment. The comment was Alpha Male Strategies could be a affiliate marketer because he's clearly tapped into like a dynamic with his audience. So rather than to compete with black men and try to talk shit about Alan Roger Curry and Ram and other people, why don't you actually be an affiliate for their products? That way you making money and they making money. And then that way it's the difference between wanting to compete and wanting to collaborate. Most black men don't know when one is a better business model, because Alan was not trying to go at Alpha Male Strategies like that. He was just defending himself. And then you know, and so it was that kind of back and forth. And this is goes back to a lot of dudes that really don't understand business, like strategy. What they want to, they go back to the nigga shit, which is, oh, it can only be one nigga. Like the Highlander, ooh, that's a good one. The Highlander method of thinking, which fucks up their money in the long run. And then at the end, I said what he's doing is operating kind of like a hack, which is he's taking other people's stuff and then kind of saying it's his and not really anything unique to it. And it's unfortunate because he can still make money without doing that. And then Alan, you know, took to that and really.
Well, YouTube is like that. YouTube is like that.
No, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I mean, I appreciate him putting that out there. Because like I said, you know, he didn't. You don't even have to do that. As far as album, he can still make money, just promote, but you still got to source where you got the information from. But even if you source where you got the information from, have an affiliate link so you can get paid off somebody buying that stuff. I mean, you could have an independent deal, just like how Boyce Watkins has an independent deal with Dr. Claude Anderson. Makes money off selling his books. He doesn't sit there and then say, "Oh, this is really from me," and don't listen to Dr. Claude Anderson. It's collaboration. And when I see the potential for his alpha male strategies with the views and stuff he's gotten, and then he's kind of and then just it's the same thing with like hip hop shit where we could like Rockefeller could have been the shit, but because people can't work together because of that, you know, testosterone bullshit. This unharnessed, it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, with that single mother thing you just said, yeah, I agree with that. I think at the very least you should be honest. If you tell a woman, look, man, I'm not committed. You got to tell her as far as because she's a single mother. You just say, look, man, I'm just here for sex. And then at least be honest. At least be honest. But you know, most of these dudes are not honest about that.
Because they want some pussy. They want some pussy.
Exactly. So and that comes back to being willing to walk away or being willing to let a woman make that decision.
It means you have dick standards, okay?
Yeah.
So when you say you have standards, I don't date single mothers, but you fuck single mothers. That means to me you're dishonest.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Yep, and I can. Yep, and that you shouldn't be like that. And so anyway, if you want to open it up, definitely open it up.
Well, it's open. I mean, I should put the link in.
No, let me see who's.
How long we got you for? Because this is we go another. We'll go to 4 o'clock. We go to 4 o'clock. Because this was impromptu, and I've been doing this basically 4 days straight. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, man.
And I'm actually tired of the Pookie and Ray Ray thing. I really am.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I just wanted to. And I think we hashed out. I think a lot of stuff got clarified.
That's why I allowed it for the whole week. I could have squashed it, but I think it needed to be. I needed that. Even though they said, well, why did you allow the dishwasher and all that kind of stuff? Because it's something that needed to be discussed. Because on the other side, they punch on Pookie and Ray Ray all the time. We're always on them. We always talk about dusty niggas, Pookie and Ray Ray, thugs, and all that stuff. So they have a right to actually answer back. So I allowed it. So, but I said that I had dialogue. It's always an open hangout. Well, why you let them take over your hang? I said, motherfucker, get your ass on the hangout. It's like everybody else. It's open. I said, Edward knows if you're a dominant personality, that's who you are. Edward knows it's open hangout. Anybody can come on and say something. In fact, sometimes we used to have like 10 guys on the panel, only a couple of people talking. So,
and another thing too about, because I call what Ulysses does more rather than, because Ulysses always says he's not a content creator. It's more an outlet, and that's how my stuff is too. I like to think of it more of an outlet. So if people put stuff out, they can get it out because I mean you're only one person, and there's only so many hours in a day. So what's up, Foxfire? What's up, Truth? How y'all doing?
Hey, what's cracking, fellas? How are y'all?
All right.
Good.
I'm chilling in North Raleigh. It's fun. I drive to Duke like every day.
Really? Good. I assume you get on the 40.
Yeah, I go up 147. They're finally finishing that bypass from 147 to Highway 70. So they're connecting Research Triangle Park to where all the older, black folks are, rather than boxing up in that corner. But yeah, man, I mean,
Durham is finished, though. I mean, it's going to be 20 years from now. It's going to be a post-black city. It's going to be a lot of what Raleigh is now, and it's going to have a whole lot of healthcare professionals there. I mean, Durham is the city of medicine, and so not only do you have Duke University's medical center there, you also have UNC's, which is right down the way in Chapel Hill. But you have like GlaxoSmithKline, you had Salix, you had Quintiles. So it's a hub, and I think the biggest problem with Durham is what a lot of areas are facing is you've got a native black class of people that are there, but the schools are subpar. You have issues with policing, and then you have this new gentrified, 20, 30 something highly educated class, and they're bringing in the Starbucks and all that other stuff, and they're sending their kids to private schools. So you have the city growing in two different ways, and so it's interesting. But I think my only discrepancy, and I respect Valdez and Cerulean and all those guys, but my only issue was, people are willing to do dishes, but good Lord, can you at least, if I didn't eat the food, I didn't have the kids, and so I just can't, for the life of me, I cannot blame any black man for not wanting to wife up a single mother, because if you get to a certain place in your life and you've worked your ass off to get there, and anybody that's been in corporate America knows it's not a race. It is a minefield. It is a minefield navigating these areas. So
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Foxfire, because if you for the educated or the classic black men,
I don't claim no damn EL moniker. Hell no.
Okay. Oh well, I mean, that's why I say add both. Okay. That's why I added both.
Sure.
Your counterparts are like 3 to 1. How come you guys aren't hooking up?
Well, it depends on. Well, a lot of them are. I mean, the people in my circle, some folks are. The issue is if let's say you're a brother, right? You've already spent 4 years getting educated, correct? Then if you go to a professional school, like let's say you go to Meharriet for medical school, or you go to Howard for pharmacy or something like that. I don't even know if Howard has a pharmacy school.
Okay.
Then you've already dedicated another 3 to 4 years. Then you got clinical rotation, stuff like that. A lot, and I personally wouldn't advise any man to get married before 30. You want to have yourself set up in a certain way. You want to have all of your shit together. So
even on the feminist side, for the black female side, they say tell them the same thing, and you're winding up with the same thing. In fact, I was just looking at the stats. It looks like anywhere from 20 to 25% of black educated females, or black females, period, are ending their fertile life without children.
Well, they have a different problem.
Yeah, it is a different problem.
They have a different problem because niggas ain't. If you are a chemical engineer or a chemical engineer and you're working for Texaco, you're making bank. You're not trying to hear a whole bunch of static. Well, a black man works hard not to marry somebody with a degree. He works hard so that he can come home and build something and have peace.
Okay. Say if you're 35, 36 years old. The median first child rate is 23. So in other words, even for women 23 and under or 25 and under, half of them don't have children. You could go younger and actually get one of those. They don't have kids.
I want to answer that question real quick.
I'm pro marriage. I'm
not saying that you should get married. What I'm saying is, you see, if you say you don't want to sacrifice because you don't want to get married, period, I get that. What's saying is because I'm not marrying a single mother. Okay, if you're a man of means or a man of not even, when I say a man of means, I'm not talking about 6 figures. I'm talking about $40,000 and up. There's plenty of women out there that don't have kids. What's your excuse?
But nobody's arguing not to marry.
No. Yeah.
Nobody's arguing not to marry single, childless women who are very cooperative.
Yeah. What I'm saying is even because there are people, men that say that no matter what, Even if she's cooperative, I'm not marrying her. How about the single women that don't have kids? What's your excuse?
Well, I can't speak for that.
In other words, what I want is people. What I want is men to be honest. Regardless, if you're a MGTOW or you're an IBMOR and you're not going to get married, you're not going to have kids. That's good. Okay, cool. But then you don't have a dog in the fight.
But most brothers out here aren't MGTOW or IBMOR.
And what I want them is to be honest. And a lot of them actually use that as an excuse not to try. You don't have
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Am I coming through at all?
Yeah, can you hear me too?
I can hear you guys.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so
somebody on a headset or something, because I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, I'm on a headset.
Huh?
Is it me? Am I giving you feedback? I'm on a headset.
I think it's you.
I think it was Mr. Research. Go ahead.
Somebody.
Mr. Research, by the way. But here's the thing, too. A lot of because you got to remember, a lot of these guys that we're talking about are not even on YouTube. I mean, when we talk about, because even me, I don't really talk about Pookie and Ray Ray is the problem. And I'm so glad Mr. Research is on here because he has said this, and you can definitely speak for yourself. But the point when it comes to outlier black men is not to, Pookie and Ray Ray are the problem. The point is, don't demand that we go in the community saying that you must do this, but then you get upset if we go in the community with our own agenda, and that's what happens. It's kind of like we'll take you as a welfare check, but you have no leadership rights, but then you a coon for walking away. And when I say walk away from the community, I don't mean walking away from
let's put it this way.
Walk away from that type of lifestyle.
If you gone in and you attempted to do it, and the community calls you a coon or sellout, whatnot, and you leave, I have no problem with that. They rejected you. Why should you go back?
So
if you leave because you had childhood trauma and they reject you as a kid, fine.
No.
I can't accept it.
Well, go there. I'm saying if you did that, just like John Henry Clark says, go over on the other side of the fence and stay there.
But here's the thing:
because the black community is not your problem.
But BGS, when we say the other side, to me that's a false number right there.
Why?
Because here's the thing: if I say I'm only going to work with certain type of black people. Mm-hmm. I need to build around people that are capable and willing. They are, what Bush said, a coalition of the willing. Mm-hmm. Just because I say I want to deal with people like Mr. Research, Foxfire, Mike Vincent. I'm not saying that I'm not dealing with people that don't own their own mechanic shop and stuff like that in the streets, but I'm dealing with people that are productive. Does not mean that does not mean that I'm jumping on the other side of the fence. That just means that I'm focusing what my energy is going to be into something I find effective. Even Ulysses just said that when he comes to businesses, because when he said that he will invest businesses in the black community, you got people talking about that's not enough.
Well, what you could but I'm saying that even if you didn't, say if you don't want to go down to violence, you can actually come up with a plan, influence the school board to change something.
Exactly, and that's why
you can influence politicians to change something. In other words, there's stuff that you can do to actually go out and help. And no black person in the community with Pookie and Ray or whoever would actually have a problem against it, because we have people in Los Angeles that are up there in the hills. They don't come down to the ghetto, but they get on their school board's ass to actually do something for these kids.
But when we have these conversations, that really doesn't get hashed out. It's because
because you don't bring it the fuck up, do you?
I brought it up.
That's why they have the other. That's why they have the other side. In other words, why do I have to bring it up and you don't?
But I brought it up. When I say that, you say, what do black men need to do is get their economics in order and then build.
Yeah, well, that's in general. That's in general. But I'm saying that when somebody asks you brass tacks, give you an example. What's that? If you want to help the community, getting your money up is one thing. Using that money to influence people and do something is another. You don't always need money.
BGS. Part of the problem is
go ahead, Foxfire.
Wait. Part of the problem is a lot of the things, and I think part of the animus stems from the fact that a lot of the work that folks do doesn't get seen. So a lot of times people feel like that they're not doing anything. Case in point, a friend of mine, he just graduated from a top 30 Law School. I think that's the And he and another one of his classmates were the only two people to make law review. Now, if those of you guys that aren't familiar with law school, to get on to the law review, you have to test after your first year of law school, you have to test in the top 10% of your class.
Yeah.
Or you have to be such a good enough writer to be able just to write on. Anyway, that law school, the population of it is less than 10%.
Okay.
This brother went to local black businesses and some entrepreneurs in the area, and they were able to establish a named scholarship for black people to go to that law school.
Okay.
Now nobody knows. Like the average people just don't know this type of. A lot of people are doing things, and they don't know that it's going on. So a lot of times people see these niggas. Oh, you guys are just going from gated community to college to these good jobs and leaving us behind. And it's not the case. A lot of guys are actually trying to do work.
Well. How about this as a suggestion? I think me and BGS come from an era where, as children, and BGS is a little older than me, but as children, we saw everything black businesses, black recreation centers, black everything. I mean, black managers, black everything in our community. And sometimes when I hear what you're saying, it's still individualized. And I think that's BGS's point.
How so?
It's still your particular circle amongst your particular friends, and you even championed the idea that not everybody knows about it. But me and BGS came from an era where if something's going on, everybody let it be known. And what I think I'm seeing, I don't know about BGS, but what I'm seeing is a lot of people still in theory zone. They're still with the theory of, if me and Tom get together and make something XYZ, okay, where? And then we don't see it. So BGS's point is, you're waiting for some of the more, we got money to do it guys. You're waiting for some of the more established guys to do it, and we're like, okay, we're waiting for you guys to put the theory into multiplicity. You know, it's just like, and I'm gonna wrap it up by saying this. It's just like me and Edward had a conversation, and I said, "Well, you say so much marketing stuff. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to launch Edward Marketing, so I can invest in it. I just want all of the younger brothers to get out of the theories and the minute clicks and create something larger than that, instead of waiting for other individuals to do it."
Yes, you know what? I'm not waiting on anybody. Case in point, I'm an alumnus of Duke University, and Duke Tip has a program which tries to go and seek talented and gifted students.
Okay,
and
there's a young black boy.
Hold on, excuse me. Let me finish my thought.
Whoa, Foxfire. Let me.
No, this man just talked over me.
Foxfire. The rule is that I handle this, okay? I will stop him from talking over you, okay? Because it will start a beef, okay? Now, Mr. Richard, let him finish with his thought. Go ahead. Foxfire, go ahead.
You know what? I apologize. That was out of line.
No, what I'm saying is, that's why. That's why I do. That's how come I handle it. I interrupt and make a lane for you, because there's going to be peace if I don't. Now finish your thought. I was just getting ready to ask him to let you finish your thought before you said something. Go ahead, Foxfire. Finish your thought.
You know what? I in the spirit of goodwill, Q, go ahead on and make your point. I'll just come after you.
Can I jump in here and get in the queue?
You're in the queue.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. All I was going to say is, there's you're from Duke, and I understand what you possibly are about to say about the program that you have. But there's a little black boy right now, not on YouTube. He got a gun in one hand and he got a bag of crack in one hand. When you gentlemen speak, and I'm gonna be quiet after this, please keep in mind that little black boy is looking at your demographic for options. Me and BGS are going to be dead within a couple of decades. Now he's going to be looking at your demographic for options. But go ahead.
Yes, sir. You know what? And that's a fair point. And you know what? we do need to go in there and find solutions. You're absolutely right about that. And part of the issue is a lot of the networks that we are in are I think actually, Q, I think you make a very good point. And so the part of the problem is the networks are very insular. And so we're getting, a lot of times we are helping students and helping kids that are already a lot like us.
Yeah.
Or you know, we're finding,
which is good, which you're supposed to do, which what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what you keep saying. But no, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pull the ones that are gifted up out of the muck, so we have more of you, because we need more of you.
And Q makes a very valid point. And I shouldn't have hollered at him, and I apologize.
No, I understand because you feel attacked. But I'm saying is,
no, it's not that I feel attacked, man. It's just that man. There's a lot of guys that are doing the work, and let me tell you something. There's nothing more. There's no bigger nonprofit work than trying to go into the community and help people.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a gold watch or a trip out of that, you ain't gonna get it.
Yeah. What I think, and I'll let you finish your point.
Sure, go ahead.
What I think was, we need to focus on the models that work, because we don't know enough about it. Like I keep saying, it sounds really, really simple, but it's saying just simply eliminating co-ed education for Black people, for Black children, would solve 60% of that problem. 60%. But the thing is, nobody wants to give up the old paradigm, and that's the whole thing. So guys like you, Foxfire, because they'll listen to you. Okay, somebody like me, they're not gonna listen to, because I don't have the certification that you do. But you, coming from Duke, from a prestigious college, and have positions, got stuff behind your name, they will listen to you. And those are you are the people that are tip of the spear. What we need to do is get behind people like you. But we need a program, we need an agenda to get behind, for you to actually go out and actually execute.
That's true. And I guess my thing is, I have looked, and I got a friend of mine right now who's at Harvard at a school of education, getting his master's. They have like one of the best educational policy school in the country. And he has looked at guys like Jeffrey Canada in Harlem, who's doing good work, or Eva Moskowitz, who's in New York City. And so I'm willing to do anything when it comes to helping the youth, because literally that's what I don't understand about people that are saying we shouldn't work with the youth. The youth don't stay the youth. The youth become adults, and then you're going to have to deal with them in another way. And so I want to help them, but I think the biggest problem that people had was for people, and I'm not saying anybody on the panel, but there was an underlying current that made it seem like unless you went into the household and wifed up a ratchet chick, that somehow you're not really willing to address the problem.
Yeah.
They try to turn you into a social worker rather than
what a time. One time. Okay, actually, Truth is next in the queue.
Yeah,
and then Mike, and then I guess you, Edward, back to you. Edward, you've had 2 hours, man.
No, I know.
even though your name's on it, you had 2 hours. But
and that's why I said I wanted to get the queue.
All right, go ahead, Truth.
I have 3 things. The first thing, you guys were discussing earlier. Well, let's just start with this. Because you just brought this up, BGS, about
let's get to the point, okay?
We're going to get to it.
Thank you.
That you just had brought up that that we'd have more academic success if we had all boys schools, which makes a whole lot of sense to me. And then my next question, after hearing that, was why don't we have more Black private Christian schools for students? It just seems like, since we're so heavily Christian, that we would have had those by now.
Who's going to fund it? Who's going to fund it?
Well, the parishioners. You should be able to get corporate dollars. It just doesn't seem like that's even on the agenda. Like that's even on the agenda.
There's a very good reason, because you do have Christian schools. They're very small because guess what? It's called money.
Okay.
Well, Truth, and I'll give you a little bit of information, and I'll shut up. But most of your you had a huge spate of Christian schools created in the latter part of the 20th century, and they say quote unquote Christian schools, but what they really are segregation schools, and they were created under the moniker of having a religious education because a lot of the school districts were integrating, and they didn't want their kids to have to go to these schools. So the large white churches, a lot of them put their money together and created what's called, segregation schools. And because if you look, the majority outside of the parochial schools, which are funded by the Catholic Church, the majority of your religious schools, quote unquote, are created after 1950, and the majority of them are located in the Southeast. And that's what they were created as, a direct response.
And you do have Christian schools in the Black community. They're called Catholic schools.
Yep, that's true. Now, another thing I had, I'll just leave this with this question here, and I'll let you guys answer this, is that I think there's 1.5 million, maybe I'm wrong on the numbers. Well, there's a New York Times article, and it says that there's 1.5 million missing Black men. And so if we look at this elevated homicide rate that we have in the Black community, to go along with mass incarceration, and if we just look at those two, and we already know that females, when born, there's more females born from birth. All that being said,
there's more males born from birth.
Is there more males?
Yeah.
I've heard that recently.
Okay, I actually did. They talk about 1.5 million missing Black males. Okay, 10% of your Black males die before the age of 10.
Right.
That's something that people don't talk about. 10% of your Black males die before the age of 10. So by the time, there's slightly more males born than females initially, but by the time you get by the time you get to puberty, it's almost 50-50. By the time you get into your 20s, there's slightly more females, and it just gets worse than that because Black males die earlier. So the reason there's missing males, prime males, is because they're dead, not necessarily because they're incarcerated. They're already dead because of environmental stuff. So cancer, cancer. What is it? Cancer. What is it? What is it with your breathing?
Accidents.
No, asthma. Asthma kills a lot of Black boys.
Yeah.
So accidents is part of it. The thing is, they're dead by the time. But if you look at the census and you look at it by age, you can tell. So I noticed that right around 15, 16, 13, 14, 15, it basically is 50-50. By the time you get in your 20s, women are ahead. And so I went back and found out a lot of Black boys didn't. I think it's 10% of your Black boys didn't survive to the age of 10.
Why are boys dying before the age of 10? Why is that happening? Is that just because we're more reckless?
No, it's because boys get more cancer, boys have more asthma, boys have more allergies, boys have a whole lot of other things, environmental stuff, that they die. That's what I found out. But you can go do your own research if you don't believe me. I always say, don't believe me, go look for yourself. That's what I found.
Here's my question. All that being said, if you go to, what's the website? blackfamilyresearch.com, I believe, or blackmarriage.com. They have a meme on there, and I don't know if it's credible or not, but it basically says that there is a disproportionate, I mean by millions more Black men that are married, or no, I think it's 350,000 more Black men that are married than Black women.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering why that is.
But that's not the issue. The issue is you got 50.7 Black men that aren't married and have never married. That's the issue that we don't talk about. It doesn't matter about because only 1 in 3 Black men actually get married.
Well, but my question is, why would there be a disparity though if there's way less of us, but we're getting married, even if we're not getting married enough? That being said, I'm still wondering why.
There's a real good reason. It's called Black women.
It's called.
You already know the answer to this.
I know the answer, but I was just wondering. So what I would ask though, would you say that Black women just don't want to be married and they're waiting later in life to get married? Because by the time everybody's 40, those numbers start.
It is a mixture of a lot of stuff, and the thing is, that's like when we're on YouTube to kind of dig that stuff out. That's like when I have a dialogue with my women so we can get to the root of the problem, because it's a complex issue. A lot of issue is that the biggest issue is that Black women do have a contempt for their men. It could be an economic issue because only a small percentage of black men. I wouldn't say small. I say like 40. Only 40% of your black men are economically viable. That's another reason that you have so few women getting married. There's a whole lot of reasons that like black women also divorce more than anybody else. There's a lot of reasons why they have a lot of single black women floating around. Normally, I think it's like 80. Even though black women aren't married, I think 80% of black women get married in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So in other words, what it means is they don't stay married, and that's also another issue.
God, that's the truth, because I know plenty of women who are like, and hi, by the way, BGS and right on the panel.
All right.
It was gone.
Real quick, because Mike is next.
So that's the truth.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is what it is. It's black women, and it's a complex thing. That's why I come on YouTube to dig this stuff out, because amongst the conscious community for 25, 30 years, a lot of this stuff has been going back and forth, and it's the same problems, the same answers that didn't work, back and forth. So I came to YouTube because it has to be something bigger than more to it than that we haven't discussed amongst black folks. That's why I'm here. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to chime in and say that as somebody who does work in the deep sectors of the tech community and been a part of the black community for a while now, in terms of Boston, you do see a lot of disrespect for the educated black men, but not for educated black women. So black women who go out and take advantage of these resources that the government provides for them to go out and get this education and move up in class, no one seems to have a problem with her. But it's the black men who go out and now take advantage of these opportunities, and they get themselves into this upwardly mobile space. Now there's this consideration that, excuse me?
Continue. Continue. Let him speak.
This consideration that you should do this, you should do that, and it's coming from people who have no respect for these types of men.
Okay.
So why would these guys that you have no respect for do the things for you that you're not going to do? Going by the men, the Ray and Pookies. Why would these men that you have no respect for do the things for you that Ray and Pookie's not going to do for you either?
You're talking about the women?
Yeah, the women. The women are holding this albatross around black men's neck.
Well, then you have to deal with the women, not the men. You have to deal with the women. And so my whole point was, and Rom's whole point was, deal with the women and not the men. Don't start kicking Ray and Pookie, because the black women.
You do have Ray and Pookies on your platform who do attack these types of men as well. And you allow that.
Do we not attack Ray and Pookie on our platforms, in our circles?
Not to my knowledge.
Yes, we do all the time.
Come on, Mike.
We do all the time.
In terms of what?
You guys cascade these guys all the time about Ray and Pookie and their dusty niggas, and they have no respect. They pick on all the other tropes that you guys have been talking about.
Isn't that only like a week long or something? I've never heard that in my life.
It happens on
YouTube a couple weeks ago.
It's always low key. Now, trust me, I hear about it when you guys do it.
So, no, I hear what you're saying, BGS. The couple quick things I wanted to say is, one thing, and this is where I will, first of all, Mike, you hit it on the nail on the head completely. Because I never thought about the fact that when black women upper mobile, and even though I'm not going to say it's not there at all, but like as an overall community, it's kind of taboo to go after educated black women. Even if you talk about the fact educated black women can't get married or they can't get a man, that's like within the internal black community, because it seemed like you just mad. Because I remember that what is the Brazil documentary, Frustrated? I mean, he had educated black women there versus like the Brazilian women who were more feminine. A lot of black women in their feelings that you're not supposed to go after educated black women because they try to act like they're a protected class. But
but wait a minute. But what do educated black women do that educated black men don't? Do they not? Do the educated black women come and defend their ratchet sisters?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Yes, they sure do.
So if they defend their ratchet sisters, that's a sisterhood. So if they protect their ratchet sisters, are the ratchet sisters supposed to reciprocate?
But BGS, isn't that part of the problem?
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying. What I'm saying. Well,
Okay, you answered
well,
my
okay. Well, hold on.
question. You good?
In
That's
other
a fair
words,
point.
what did he just say about black women and them not being attacked by the lower level black women, the educated black women not being attacked by the lower level black women? What did he just? He just said that, right? He said, "Ask why," right? Foxfire, unmute.
But
Yeah, man, he
but
did.
He did.
Wait.
So in other words, we stopped jumping lanes. Okay, he asked a question why. I gave him an answer why that is.
But here's
Okay.
where the trap comes in. Here's where the trap comes. Not for you, BGS, but I'm talking about for black men. So let's say you got a mic that starts defending black men, and let's say, and I'm not saying all black men do this, but they are saying, oh, black men don't need to take care of their kids. Then he becomes the enemy. Because if you think about defending, because okay, give me an example of black male dysfunction that you think a black man could defend without seeing like they're an asshole. Like how black women defend a ratchet.
Does it matter?
But it will. But here's the.
I mean, black women don't care because they'll defend. Because if a black woman has 15 kids with 15 dusty dudes, 15 dusty dudes, right? First thing an educated black woman will say, "Where's the fathers at?" Right? She's gonna throw it back on the men. She's gonna defend that even though she knows that chick ain't shit, and she wouldn't have her in her house, but she would defend them. I'm not saying it's right.
No. I'm not saying you are saying that. I'm just saying if you become like, so if you go like Jason Black though and start saying, okay, because here's what a lot of black men say. A lot of black men say that the problem is not a master key. The problem is the shitty lock. Which is the problem is not Pookie and Ray Ray. The problem is you give them access to your womb. And here's the thing, that's cool. But then don't think you go.
You know, and you know what? Okay, all right, real quick. Well, I'm getting ready to answer you. Go ahead, finish.
Don't then say that. Don't try to look for a wallet somewhere else when you've already chosen your key. So it's not the key's fault; it's the lock's fault. But don't get mad when you try to look for a wallet somewhere else, and when you can't find it, now it's all of a sudden niggas ain't shit. Black men say that all the time, and a lot of reasons when black men, it sounds like they're going after Pookie and Ray Ray. It's not really they're talking about Pookie and Ray Ray. What they're talking about is this is the dude you chose, so then don't come to me to bail you out. So it's really not about Pookie and Ray. Pookie and Ray Ray is more of a prop.
Well, breathe. Part of that too is that,
Edward, breathe.
Well, okay.
Like one thing is that if you are gonna, if you're a woman,
truth. This is your turn to talk, bro.
You'll put me in the queue.
Thank you. I was getting ready. He asked me a question. Is it your turn to talk? Thank you. What the thing is that I said this a couple of weeks ago. The difference between a classic man and Pookie Ray Ray, and Pookie Ray Ray being a baby daddy, is a condom. You're fucking the same women. Be honest, you're fucking the same women.
That's not true. That's not true.
Bullshit. I was
that's not
genuine. I always.
Yes, that's not always true, man.
Huh? Would you put
that's not always true. You would say that's
well, no. Everybody's not a namalt, or not every man is like that. Okay.
Would you put educated women in that same boat? Like, would you put so educated women are fucking Pookies and Ray Rays?
Officer Eric, officer.
I'm not saying it's
yes, of course they are. Yeah,
they are. Okay, so you're talking across socioeconomic lines.
Can I answer it? Black men do it all the time. Go ahead.
That's disingenuous, BGS. Don't do that.
Let Officer Charles answer, please.
Go ahead, Officer Charles.
Now, let's be honest. When does a black man have a problem getting a woman? I'm going to go a little bit of a city and to ask the questions and answer the question. Black men have the ability to fuck anybody. Anybody. Yes. Have I dealt with women? Yeah. Have I dealt with women who didn't make shit? Yes. It's Pookie and Ray Ray especially when it comes to educated women who can't get a man due to her being in school for 20 years and she's getting older, or she's just a fucking curmudgeon. Guess what she's gonna do to get some dick that looks good to please the eye? She's gonna pay for it just like anybody else. Because guess what? Dude with no money, how do you think Pookie gets it? Pookie usually gets somebody on a higher economic social class, right?
Yep.
Of course.
So when we say the same women, it's not really the same women. It's just women in general.
It's the same women because
So
guess
it's
what?
women.
One woman who was a single mom, she made over 6 figures that I dealt with.
Yep. I mean, it's cultural. I look at it like this. I look at it like this. If you're a woman and you, like in the black community, it's normalized to be a single mother. And if you're 15 years old, and because this is your culture, in order to ensure that you're going to be a single mother, you have to be able to date. It has to be a certain type of man that you know later down the road you're going to have to reject. I mean, that's the only way it can be done. There's no way I could get a woman pregnant and be a shitty father. I would fight like hell. I would fight like hell to make that happen. And a lot of our women purposely, I mean, you guys know all this, but they purposely date down, but pretend they don't. And then what they say is, this is what they say. Oh, you niggas just need to step your game up. You're just not on our level. Y'all niggas is just weak. And
you know what? Women do not take accountability.
You're fucking the same women. Even whether you know it or not, you're fucking the same women.
Women don't like to take accountability.
No, they don't.
For their
and they lie. And they lie.
They lie.
And black men do too. They lie. Because you be creeping that midnight special from 12 to 5 because you don't want that. Come on now.
I'm laughing because you know it's true.
Be honest. Come on now. Done it. Every motherfucker's done that shit. Come on.
Come on now.
You just didn't get her pregnant. That's all. But you ain't seen with her ass.
But BGS, the difference is the way you're framing this is you're framing it like, you know, you're blaming, most of these guys are not out here blaming Pookie and Ray Ray for going after them even any more than I would blame Sierra for trying to get a Russell Wilson. What we're doing, we're actually talking about the women, because see, what happens is black women have this theory to want to say, well, there's no good men. And the reality is you present to them, no, you're choosing these guys. These guys are not just
Edward, can I ask you a question, Edward?
But hold on.
You're gonna have to breathe then, Edward. So can I ask you a question?
We keep saying that we're attacking Pookie and Ray Ray. No, we're not. We're actually attacking the women that are actually making these decisions and coming back talking about black men. This is why we always say black men don't make you a single mother. You choose it. That's us defending
because you have half the men not having kids. So
breathe, Edward. Breathe.
Let me get this the fuck out. Okay, let me get this the fuck out. If half the black men are not having kids and 80% of the women want to have kids, and their choice is between not having kids or getting a kid with Pookie and Ray Ray, who are they gonna pick? What are they gonna do?
Just don't have it.
I don't think that's it's okay. I'm not saying that's not true, but let me tell you what I see is that a lot of these women.
Well, before you do that, answer the goddamn question. What are they going to do?
They're biological.
No. Was I talking to you? I was asking the truth.
They're going to get pregnant. They're going to get pregnant with somebody.
By somebody. Thank you. Now go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not attacking.
Who else is in the queue?
Mr. Richard.
Can I get
in the queue too?
Because I have people skipping over. Go ahead.
Q has to be in the queue for a while.
Okay.
So I'm not
real quick.
I'm not tearing down Pookie and Ray Ray at all. That's not my point at all. I'm just talking about the women. And what I see is that a lot of our women aren't like if you can't code switch, and let's just say you don't have that hood swagger. A lot of these black women are just not gonna fuck with you. It's like black dudes in Baltimore ain't messing with girls with a flat ass. It's just like they don't mess with it.
What I say the difference is between Pookie and Ray Ray and the educated black man. What's the difference between the one being a father and one not?
Condoms.
as a condom. You're still fucking her.
A lot of these dudes are not. A lot of them aren't fucking them.
Bullshit.
Nah, they
bullshit.
No,
Go ahead, Q. Yeah. Bullshit.
How about?
Go ahead. Research. Go ahead.
How about if I paint this picture? If I paint this picture, and I'll use Mike as an example, since he's also in tech.
Wait, hold on, wait. No. BTS, you're wrong. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Is it your goddamn turn? Is it your turn?
I wasn't done.
No, I didn't ask you whether you were done. You actually jumped the line and I allowed you to answer. It's not your turn.
You said I was first in the queue.
Gotta write it down. I know I do.
Because for
breathe,
your generation,
gentlemen, breathe.
For your generation.
Okay. Everybody mute up for a second. Everybody mute up. Now, go ahead.
Okay. So for your generation, I think what you're saying is 100% correct because you're a baby boomer. But for Generation X, is different. A lot of them sisters aren't fucking with dudes like that.
Bullshit. Balderdash. I see it all the goddamn time. Bullshit.
Well, that's my experience.
Officer Charles is Generation X.
One-on-one.
He's in Baltimore. That's different though.
Bullshit.
Sisters is different.
I've dealt with people from Baltimore to PG to Virginia, all around.
All right, come out to the Northwest. You'll see what I'm saying.
Hey,
I'm Northwest. I'll be successful there too.
Northwest where?
No. Because when I go to Baltimore,
Northwest where?
Portland, Oregon. When I go to
Baltimore, be successful there because guess what? Somebody's gonna like me somewhere, right?
How big of a black community do you have in Portland, Oregon?
It's about
it ain't that big. I've been there.
Thank you. Okay.
So let me expect. Okay, can I break this down for a minute, BGS?
Like a fraction, please.
I'm gonna break this shit down like a shotgun. Here's what a list of the women I've dealt with. One has a master's degree in communications who worked for the CIA. Another one has one in finance who works for the federal government as well. A nurse. A tech, a police officer with 2 degrees. Shall I go on?
Okay.
And that's on the upper end. That's on the upper end. What about the lower end?
So guess what? I've dealt with a lady who works in retail, who was divorced now. I've dealt with women who... Hell, I dealt with a stripper one time.
But Charles,
so guess what?
These niggas don't know that they're being lied to.
You know what?
You got to understand something. This is what happens when you have guys who never put themselves out there in the dating market and don't expect them.
That's
not true. That's not true.
Right there.
Magic Johnson and Shaq, who are on a baller level, on a fucking baller level, come down and fuck hood chicks, okay?
But see, that's you're getting away from the see. The point is your overall point when we got into this line of discussion. And I'm gonna let Mr. Research, you can definitely talk. Is that we are bashing Pookie and Ray Ray. You cannot bash black women and bash Pookie and Ray Ray at the same time. The overall gender war is exactly what it is. It is a gender war. So the only time Pookie and Ray Ray comes up is as a prop to say, look, this is who you choose. So don't invest in a stock. I'm not even trying to bash dudes. I'm just saying you get what you pay for. So if you invest in that, because keep in mind, the women do choose to have a child or not. Men don't have that choice except for a condom. The women have layers of choices. So we say, don't then say, this was the argument we had like a couple of years ago, where black women were lying and saying, well, these are the only men available. And that's why, and there's no good black men. And we proved that no, you seek these dudes out. I don't care about the dude, but just don't come and say niggas ain't shit where you choosing what nigga you want to deal with.
But Edward, do we not say to women, guess what? You made your bed, lay there.
Yeah, but that's
not just it though.
But guess what? A lot of them love the thug.
Q, did you finish your point?
No, I didn't.
Okay, my bad. I'm gonna fall back.
Did you finish your point, Q?
Jump in. So here's my only thing, and this just is my view. I wish brothers would get to such a power level. Like hypothetically, if me and Mike were to get together and form a black tech union, and no matter what Facebook, Google, and Oracle did, no matter what whether silicone prices went up or down, we as a black male union would stay as a force. And when they tried to fire somebody at Oracle, we'd all put our resources together and make sure he was lawyer tight and all this type of stuff. And we get to the point where we can change some of these laws, or at least have a lobbyist in the Senate to get what we want. Because at the end of the day, me personally, women are like 15th on my concern. They need my assistance more than I need to either know that they breathing. But I don't think because they get stuff so easy. What you got to understand is there's a warehouse making $10, $12 an hour. That chick got an office job for at first day on the job. She made $16, $18 just sitting down, and she got a 75-cent raise coming in 4 months. So with that type of lackadaisical financial pouring that she gets, she's never going to understand the plight of the dude. So when these chicks act the way they act because they really don't see nothing powerful. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying we got to get to the point where we don't even care that they breathing. We need to be forming our own union. If you got the black policemen, make sure the black policeman is nationwide. If you got the black firemen, which you do, make sure the black fireman is nationwide, and so on and so on, instead of belittling our oxygen down to discussing whether they care about our concern, because they never will.
Well, that goes back to that quote where you don't fight something. I'm paraphrasing, but you don't fight something. What you do is you make something else to make that old structure obsolete. And that really speaks to what you're talking about.
Everybody still there?
Greetings, black men. What's good, BGS?
All right, you're late, man. You must have been doing a stream or something. You were late.
Y'all gotta forgive me. I was up late as hell last night. And this morning I had to go and get my boys, and I was like,
all right, yeah.
Like, you know, when you be up late and you just be like, the hell with it, I'm gonna just stay up.
Okay.
So I stayed up and went and got them
on time if you don't.
Exactly. So I stayed up, went and got them, and I went to sleep. I took a nap. I just now woke up, but fellas, the conversation at hand. What's going on?
Man.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Well, okay. So I came in kind of on the little tail end of it. I heard a few brothers talking. And I heard the part you said, BGS, about the dudes fucking the same women.
Yeah.
I gotta agree. Y'all are fucking the same women. Y'all are smashing the same women, man.
The problem is, Valdez, they don't know. They don't know, man. See, I knew a brother at Duke. He didn't even know his girlfriend was smashing one of the biggest drug dealers in Durham.
Yeah.
And that don't be happening all the time.
Because how old are you, Foxfire?
30. Just turned 30.
So this is while you're in college, at what age?
From 18 to 21.
So this 18 to 21-year-old girl was screwing who and who?
I believe his first name was Pookie.
No, that's Ray Ray.
He was a Ray Ray.
He's a Ray Ray.
So basically, it's very easy for her to fuck a drug dealer and a high-level college student, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't take an investigator.
Well, I made
an investigator to feel that out.
Well, I made a video a while back, and it's really frustrating when you don't have the catalog of your main your main channel still up. But I made a video a while back. I don't know if you guys remember that. I called it Ratchet Theory.
I remember you something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I basically broke down that regardless of what level or class in the black community, you are always going to encounter ratchet women, because black women have a tendency to be ratchet from time to time. So, like, to think that you're not messing with the same women is a little crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up. And greetings, esteemed gentlemen.
Israel.
You know, BJ, you said a while back that the difference between Pookie and Ray Ray and the educated lanes of classic men's were condoms.
Yeah.
And I actually ascertained that that is absolutely not true because I
Okay.
have seen some very well-to-do so-called educated lames that you know, they went the distance, whereas I dropped out. That have babies with ratchet chicks.
Yeah, I mean,
let's just keep it on. Let's just keep it honest.
I mean,
let's keep it honest. That ratchet pussy is fire.
What's saying is, I don't care who you fuck. All I want is people to be honest about it. You know, because like I said, I've seen it when I was in college. My daughter, male friends do the exact same thing. Okay, I see Mercedes you know, Mercedes, the guy in the nice $1,000 suit put up outside of the projects. He ain't coming there to do a case.
He definitely didn't show up for a funeral either.
No, he sure didn't.
Hey, BGS, is it safe to say that no matter what class of nigga you are, you still love a Keisha?
That's the whole argument. The whole argument is Keisha with a fat ass, and Keisha with a fat ass has a bloated sense of worth because she getting this dude that's high class coming down and fucking her, even though she knows he's not gonna stay. She knows that.
True.
And I have to say one thing about the angry man. Shame on you, angry man. You forgot to say it.
What did I forget to say?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Oh no, I wasn't.
No, he was invited. He was invited. We were looking for him earlier.
It wasn't a surprise today,
No.
but you know, one thing that I heard one of the brothers say earlier was you know, you're talking about, you know, the women choosing to be single mothers, and I think Mr. Research said that you know, fellas need to stop, you know, worrying about what they think and, you know, things of that nature. Well, as you know, as a man, we're not really supposed to be focused on that anyway. So I agree with him on that. Like you're not supposed to be, your actions are not supposed to be dictated by a woman. Your actions are supposed to be dictated by manhood. You know what I'm saying? Like I've said that numerous times on my channel, but I think where, you know, brothers is getting, you know, things misconstrued with me is I'm sitting here telling brothers, okay, I get what you're saying. If you the type of dude to say you don't want to date a single mother or you don't want to deal with that type of shit that goes on, it doesn't really make any sense to me if you're still fucking her because you're still dealing with her.
Yeah, but see, BGS says, well, if you're not going to date them, don't even fuck them. You get that whole pushback like, whoa, BGS. Let's be reasonable here. Yeah.
My daughter's, you know, my daughter's trying that thing. We keep telling her, look, you got a kid. Find a man that's in the same position as you. She's doing the same silly shit. What is it? It's a millennial thing. I gotta have a man or a woman all to myself. Okay. And it's a millennial thing. We keep telling her.
I can fill that in for you.
They're not wifing up single mothers like that.
Well, here's the difference.
But they still sleep with them. Okay. I'm my child. All they're doing is sleep. Then they actually come out and say that. But I won't date a single mother. I won't date a single mother. But you're fucking her. Stop.
Which increases their chance. Which increases their chance of being the second or third or fourth baby father.
Yeah, it does. You want to roll the condom away.
You know, as a matter of
one thing, one at a time. Cyril, go ahead.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, we've been addressing this alpha thing all week, and you know, the difference between alphas and all others is almost the same difference between men and women. Whereas alphas take initiative, and all others take orders. Men, for instance, we follow mission plans. Women follow trends, and sticking to the mission. Just because the women are acting ratchet, no matter who they're dating, fucking, or procreating with, does not take away the fact that you must do what is necessary to fulfill the mission as a man. What is the mission? The mission is to improve the conditions or make the community better than where you found it. And this is something that can only be done by men. And what has really happened is a lack of organizational structure between men has really what's caused this chasm between the educated lanes and the Pookies and Ray Rays. Because I've been in upper education, and some of those brothers are every bit as the Pookie and Ray Ray as the nigga in the hood. Okay,
yeah, I've heard that from many a PhD. Trust and believe.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I guess I keep going back to is kind of what the original conversation that Edward and BGS agreed upon when it was just them talking. The inconsistency, falling in love with inconsistency, falling in love with talking about what you want to do, talking about what should be happening, talking about what that other gender should be doing, but then come next Monday, you still doing the same thing you said you didn't like 47 times over. That's kind of like, okay, what's the purpose? You get like I made the point about some people who date non-black women. You date a non-black woman and you can't lead her either. Why get on the microphone and talk about how much you hate dark butts? Because at that point in time, it doesn't matter what you hate. You're not even producing well with the individual you got. Or you hear people say what they don't like, let's say an Al Sharpton. Yet when it's time to get on the microphone in their local county, they still stuck on YouTube. Get off YouTube, go to that local county and prove that you can do what Al Sharpton do. It's just the inconsistency people are falling in love with.
Can I give you a little pushback on that?
Let him finish what he's saying first.
Okay.
Shit, how can you push back on that?
My point is, it's just if we put the women off to the side as the 15th thing to talk about, at the end of the day, the dudes that are speaking the loudest most of the time, they're the most inconsistent in their own personal life. Yet they're the first ones to grab the microphone. I said this to Sonetta when he went and rented out a place for his brethren to speak. The dudes that didn't contribute to the renting of the building, they the ones that wanted to fight Sonetta about not being able to get on the mic. That type of nonsense, the inconsistency of getting your stuff done.
All right, now go Truth. Truth, go ahead.
How can you push back on that?
It's not pushback. Excuse me. It's not pushback. It's more of an explanation of why, because of what I've seen before. Like I said, I live out here in the Northwest. We got a small black population.
Small black population.
So there's this guy that I know. He's and he's a leader of an institution that does a lot of work for the black community. And it looks really odd because he has a white wife, and he's a dark-skinned black dude with a white wife in a black institution. So, what I would say to that though is like a lot of times these guys, like he didn't have access to black women the way he'd want to. He's a pro-black gentleman. So what I tend to think is like a guy like maybe some of these guys that you're saying who actually aren't walking the walk, but who are the most vocal. I think part of that has to do with that they're really not able to get the type of women that they want. I tend to think that's what it is.
We've been saying that. We have been saying it. Okay. We have been saying that. But the thing is, they're not fessing up to it.
Yeah, well, the thing is with the, and who
else has a history with not fessing up?
Women. Oh yeah. We're not even talking about them. That's a whole nother talk show.
Well, I mean, they have a lot in common that way.
Well, we were all raised in the same family, are we not? So we tend to have the same culture, don't we?
Indeed, we do.
That's how come I call black women out on their bullshit, because they're trying to lie to the family. I tell my daughter all the time, two people you can't lie to: God and your family. So stop the bullshit.
And see, BGS. Here's the thing. That's one of the reasons that I respect you and got love for you, because we gotta call them out on their bullshit. And you said that shit numerous times, but you also will say, yeah, we gotta call them out on their bullshit, but we can't be full of shit either. And see, the funny thing about it is you got a lot of cats that they want to call out black women on their bullshit, but they act like they have no part, they contribute nothing to it whatsoever. And it's like, dude, if you let's just be honest, let's just keep it 100.
Let's keep it 100.
Let's just keep it 100. If you're saying that you don't, you know, fuck this shit, I'm not dealing with no chick if she got kids and shit, but you will still swing through the hood and fuck them.
Exactly.
That's affecting their behavior. You may want to sit back and it may make you feel better and make you sleep at night to think that it doesn't, but it does. Like it does. And that's contributing. That's contributing to the level of ratchetness. Me personally, we don't need no more ratchetness.
Well, you gotta remember, you know, people forget that they love to address the behavior, which is the end product of something else. Behavior is influenced by stimuli. And if you understand that, one of the biggest contributors to, for instance, children acting out is the sense of abandonment. And for instance, the educated lame who has already abandoned his community, but it still comes down to pilfer, you know, the pussy. And then you're going back to your community, and whenever you go back to your community, her condition hasn't changed. So why should she listen to you as an educated lame? You haven't created any infrastructure to help improve her conditions, but yet she's actually cooperating with you whenever you come down to the hood to pilfer that ass.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Shoplifting.
So why shouldn't she treat you like a trick?
Go ahead, Edward. Jump in, and that's what they do, and that's what people get mad at. Go ahead, Edward. Jump in. You're breaking up. You're breaking up real bad.
Any better now?
Go ahead.
What percentage of black men did you qualify as classic black thing?
They go. I would say about 80%. About 80%.
Okay, so I must be in the other.
What was the question again? I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear the question.
In other words, what he said, what percentage of classic men go down to the hood and pilfer some pussy? I said 80%. Because
no, it's not that high.
You have married, you have married dudes that live in big houses, got fancy families and all that shit. Their side chicks go down to the hood and fuck. What's her name? What's her name's husband? Just has a side chick that was a hood chick.
I'm not disputing that it happens, but 80% is not that high.
Let's just keep it 1,000, shall we?
Keep it a million.
We'll keep it a million.
Instead of millionaires go down the hood and get that side pussy. Go ahead. One at a time. Go ahead.
I'll put this in an abstract form that everyone could understand. If you go to a store and you see a product there that is normally, say, $100, right? And then you see that one day this product that you actually love, that is $100, and you could buy 10 of them for that $100 because they're on sale now. How many of them are you going to leave out of the store with?
As many as you can carry. As many as you can carry.
No, sometimes you put them on your back and run out that damn store.
Okay. So you know this is where the store you get them from. You know that this is the store that's selling them, and you know this store has a sale on them.
Yep.
And this is the ratchet pussy in the hood.
Yep.
And this is the reason because to a nigga of means, it's too good of a deal for a lot of niggas to pass up.
They do it all the time.
So 80% is actually being modest. I would actually go as high.
I was being conservative, Shirley. Forgive me.
Okay, so I want to respond to that.
I'm serious, Fox. Right? I'm
serious. I got you, Fire.
One at a time.
Let me say this.
I get knocked out about it.
Let me say this. Let me say this real quick. You can go, Edward. First of all, I know many a nigga that is educated and got money that will swing through the hood to fuck big booty Keisha for the price of a light bill.
Yes. Yeah.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Real talk. No too many. I see, dude. I've heard it on both sides, from the women,
yep,
and the men.
But okay, so
nigga, what are you doing down here? Well, you know, yeah.
About that.
I need a coach bag.
Yeah, exactly. How you think these ghetto chicks come up with all these fancy clothes and shit? Who thinks buying that shit?
Two things about it. One is black men that have said they're gonna trick generally.
Well, that's that 80-20 rule, I think.
Damn, is he gone?
Yeah, he'll be back next. He'll be back.
I think what he's talking about is that 80. Well, this is like that 80-20 rule where you have 20% of educated lames fucking 80% of the hood chicks.
No,
that's not what he's talking about.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, what I was saying.
I think that's what that. That's
come on, Truth. You got to stay with me now. That's not what I said.
Black men.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Black men trick. Black men that trick typically do not complain the loudest because they got a pipeline of pussy. It's just money. So a lot of the dudes y'all saying they do that are not the main ones complaining. That's number one. Number two is when you look at, okay, who's having kids? It's well known in the community there is a lot of man sharing is going on. Now we discussed why that is. But my point is this narrative that like all ADLs are swinging through the hood, like me, I'm swinging through East Raleigh. That's not necessarily as I feel like 90%, and I'm glad y'all said that because now we're down to a crux of that situation. Because if you are right, if you're correct,
Cerulean, let him finish.
If you're correct and say, and it's true that like all the black men on this panel that was consider themselves classic black men is talking all this bullshit, but then we got like 4 or 5 or women that we done fucked in the last, let's say, 2 years that are like baby mamas in the hood, then yeah, we full of shit if we doing that. To talk that shit. Because
they don't always have that. Every chick in the hood is not a baby mama.
I got a question. I got a question for Edward.
So I don't think that's
one time.
I got a question for Edward. Edward.
A few years before 5 women. Oh God.
Edward, I got a question.
One time.
Hold on. I got a question for Edward. Be honest, Edward. You ain't never I don't know if you was here around the time Chavis Heights was still up. You ain't never messed with not one chick in Chavis Heights ever.
No. I haven't. No, it's been a long time. Like when I was in my early 20s.
Since what?
I've had sex with. I've had sex with like 3 women that are single mothers, and I was young. But
how long ago? How long ago?
Like, I'm talking about like 8 years ago. But in the last like 7 years, like I deal with women all the time that are single mothers as far as working with them and shit. And I know some good looking women that are single mothers, but I haven't put my dick in one in a minute. And that's not because I'm like, fuck single mothers. That's because I believe in what you said.
Yeah.
You don't have to disrespect them, but don't be giving mixed messages if you fuck them and then you sitting there and mad because they won't do what you say. Because that's a different thing.
If Valdez did not on one hangout that a dude was railing about not dating single mothers, I mean, vehemently, right? Remember that dude?
Yeah, I remember.
And I asked him, did he fuck him? What did he say?
he did that laugh. He did that same laugh when you see the nigga in the hood. He did that laugh. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't care whether you do or not. I don't care if you I don't like equivocating. That's what I don't like. I want dudes to be honest about what the fuck they do.
Okay, a black man should make it very clear what his standard is for commitment and what his standard is for having sex. So that's why I subscribe to Alan Rogers Curry. That's why I subscribe to Alan Rogers Curry's book where you need to be direct. Because you need to understand that I'm here for pussy. So yeah, a single mother can treat you like a trick at that point. Because we're honest. But so
in other words,
I've been waiting for a while. I want to get in. It's 2 different points that he's making.
Well, then you're in the queue. He's speaking right now.
No, now.
Go ahead, PJ.
So anyway, yeah.
Go ahead, PK.
But yeah, like he said, I mean, he's being 100% direct with what he said, man. It's two different sides to the story. If I'm gonna deal with a woman and I'm just gonna fuck her, you know, I'm gonna let her know up front. This is what it is, whether she's a single mother or not. If you want a commitment out of me, then here's what the fuck that's gonna entail, and it's just that simple. But you know, the whole thing about you shouldn't fuck a single mother because you won't give her a commitment. Nah, man, I ain't on board with that. I'll fuck you, but I'm gonna let you know that's what it is.
What I'm saying is, the thing is, if you're fucking a single, if you're saying you're not gonna date a single mother, I got standards, blah 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 blah. You shouldn't be fucking them. You should have standards. If you have standards, otherwise you shouldn't be in the argument about that.
Yeah, if the premise, well, see, that's the thing. If the premise, here's the thing: if the premise of your standard is the fact that she's a single mother, that should mean that she's off limits. It's like if you're a person that's working out and you're saying, well, I only have health food in my house, but then you go out to eat some bullshit. You don't have standards. Because
that's what you're saying. You can't, no, you're doing a false equivalence here. Let me answer this. Hold on. Let me answer this because that's a fair statement he just made. That's a false equivalency, though. The reason that's a false equivalency is because of the fact that you can't sit here and say a man does not have standards because he refuses to
keep going. Speak on it. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to speak on it because there's rope in that chair. Okay.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of rope.
Keep going, bro.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Keep going.
The reason that you can't say that it's not a false equivalency is because of this. You couldn't sit here and say I don't have standards because I won't date you because I made that up front when I decided to lay with you.
Oh. No. Keep going.
Yeah, because of the fact that you had a kid, I told you straight up, I don't want to be with you because of that.
Keep going.
That doesn't mean I don't want to fuck you. And I tell a woman that. That's it.
Whoa. Keep going. You got more. Keep going.
Keep going.
No. Keep going, PK. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going, please.
Yeah, spit that shit.
That's it. I don't see why it's any more complicated than that. You overcomplicate it.
It's not really overcomplicated. So let me ask you, PK. Do you tell these women this up front whenever you tell them?
Yeah. He's lying. No, he don't.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You can't tell no woman that.
So how much you pay her?
Yeah, exactly.
How much you pay her?
0.
It don't matter. He's going against it.
That's that lie you were talking about. You know when you were saying like dudes lie, that's what he's doing. He's lying.
But that's about it.
Foxfire.
Man, stop lying, man.
Foxfire.
You can't sit up here and listen.
See the kind of bullshit we have to deal with now.
Now listen. Hold on. Hold on.
Y'all ain't shit. Dr. Gray, you are not shit. You know that, sir.
Well, hold on, BGS. But listen. Hold on. Now watch this. Now, every time I've done a live stream and I've talked about this situation with single mothers and the type of goofy shit the dudes be doing with them and shit like that, he just proved my point.
He did.
Because listen, here's the thing. The standard that he's talking about is the standard that he set. Because he's saying out of his mouth, I'm not going to be in a relationship with a single mother because the single mother is not worth my time in a relationship setting. And what I'm saying is if she's not worth your time in a relationship, she definitely shouldn't be worth your time as far as putting your cock in her. If all you want is some pussy, go get a prostitute.
Well, especially considering the fact that sticking your dick in it is a hell of a lot more risky
than dating. Yeah,
exactly.
The price of poocha is $40.
And then to tell a woman,
remake your point, Angry.
That is really dangerous to tell a woman, you got babies, so we ain't gonna be together, but we'll have sex. I mean, that would be crazy to sleep with a woman after saying that.
That would be consistent.
Yeah, and that's an alpha male strategy argument to lie. Because here's the thing: we're all red pill here, at least we know about female nature. And so it doesn't matter that if you tell the woman the truth. I mean, that's better than you leaving it, innocuous. But if you sleep with her, biologically, she's still going to respond a certain type of way. So for you to go in there and do that is no different than a Pookie and Ray Ray saying whatever they want to say to a woman just to fuck her and then lie, because how a woman internalizes that is the same. And so that is going to create animosity with a guy like Mike Vincent that maybe not want to fuck.
Oh, exactly.
But
he want a relationship. Yeah, he want a relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you gonna think you like that other nigga that did that, even if he don't. See what I'm saying? So you're still polluting a female's mind. And a lot of dudes.
Ask you a question.
No. Let VK, let him finish what the fuck he's saying, please.
No,
right,
so
go ahead.
You're wrong, but you got to understand that. That's all I'm saying. You need to understand that.
Respond, PK. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't have a response. I had a question. What exactly is polluting her mind if I come to her and I tell her the truth behind my motivation?
Okay, I'll answer that. So I got a question. If you ever had a woman say that we have a platonic relationship, but it's just about sex, but the dude put it on her, and then the woman wants to leave shit in the house and do shit that indicates that she wants to make it about a relationship, even though you are honest about her, still in her mind that doesn't matter, because now her priorities have changed.
If one comedian said this, I think her last name was Camacho. She said, "You fuck me 3 times, we go together."
Yeah, and that's still on her for accepting that situation. But we're talking about this from a macro level. It doesn't matter, because even if you leave, she's gonna have that same mentality to the same profile. I could call it a negative imprint.
But it's even worse than that, because what he does not realize is his attitude towards that. It's the same thing that has created an entire movement of men. How many men are walking around right now that have gotten with that one chick that's been pretending like she's gonna give him some pussy just to get some money out of him?
Oh boy.
Or she puts him in the friend zone, and he thinks that even if you tell a motherfucker some shit straight up, they still gonna think in the back of their head there's some hope. If they could just be around you long enough, they could just spend enough time with you. And see, there's a shitload of dudes that's been burned like that, and I feel bad for them dudes. But how would I be if I sit here and I watch the flip side of that coin with brothers saying, "Oh well, single mother isn't really worth my time, but I can still fuck them." We actually live in a damn country where if you want that type of arrangement, you can have that type of arrangement. There's chicks out there that have no fucking they care nothing about just being like, well, you know what, give me so and so, and then you can get this.
Yeah.
And the proof behind that, you got people of other cultures who stay on code so much that their chicks struggle to get under their umbrella. Exactly. Unlike us, who have this sometime umbrella, sometime you're in the rain, sometime a lot of them other dudes, whether they black or Latin or whatever, they so on code that they tell chicks, "I'm poor, you got more money than me, and it's still about me." Latin machismo. "I'm poor, you got more money than me, and it's still about me." Poor trash Russian, and so on and so on. We got to stay cold. And PK, what they saying is, once you spoke the word of God to her, you wasn't even supposed to touch that poison.
Yeah, the power to walk away is a power. This is why I keep saying, stop looking for your manhood in a woman's womb. And that's something, by the way, that not classic black men, but upper end black men do as well. They're just as bad with it because they still are looking for that validation. That's why they talk about the respect factor.
But look, did you notice what Mr. Research said? He said that in other groups, the men will say, "I'm poor, but it's still about me."
Yeah, that's what they say about to women.
Exactly, but whether you want to admit it or not, there's a shitload. I'm not saying all of them, not all of them, but there are niggas in the hood that have that fucking mentality. And they're usually Ray Ray and motherfucking Pookie.
But at the same time, when I said that black men should put themselves first, everybody took my head off.
We didn't say that.
I never said that. I never said that.
Put your mission first.
I think a lot of what you guys are saying right now is a fair argument to be made in that direction. I get that. I'm 100% understanding of that. However, at the end of the day, if a man's willing to lie to a woman, I think he's poisoned the well long before I ever did. If you got with a man and you had a kid with him and he lied to you and played you, I mean, that is what it is.
You're still like the Pharisees, man. Your hands are still dirty.
Right. True, but here's the thing, because even Jason Black said that. Jason Black got a video talking about black women that like men that lie to them. Because it's on the flip side too, where a lot of black women will seek dudes out that tell them what they want to hear. And Jason Black said they got to stop doing that on their side. But my point is, men have to practice. This is across the board too, by the way. Men have to exercise their right to walk away.
But listen to this though, Edward. Here's the thing about that. A man being willing to walk away is part of being on code.
On code, yeah.
And when you start talking about how there's women out here that want dudes to lie to them and they seek dudes. Well, if men was on code, that wouldn't be an issue. There's a whole lot of shit that would not be an issue if men was just on code. Now, what I said that a man puts his mission first. You feel what I'm saying? So if your mission, if you say, okay, well, my mission is I am not going to I'm not going to be in a relationship with a single mother and I'm not going to raise anybody else's kid. If that's your mission, then guess what? Your ass ain't supposed to be nowhere near a single mom.
Exactly.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. You see what I'm saying?
And if you put your dick in
go Edward first, and then Q.
I'm just saying, if you put your penis in a single mother after you say that, then you are full of shit.
Now, see, here's the thing with me. Now, here's the thing with me. I'm not adverse to dealing with a single mother. And my thing is this, like, if a nigga, because like part of the reason this whole argument came up was when Obsidian came through and he said there's a crisis going on in the black community. There aren't enough fathers in the household. And I said, well, shit, if you are that adamant about the fact that there's a crisis and there are no fathers in the household, go be a father. That's the whole point of how that argument even started.
Yeah, if you
see what I'm saying?
If you can actually trumpet it out that other men should do it, you should be the first one.
You should be the first one to do it. If you want to see, I would never tell a dude, oh, well, you know what? It would be admirable if you go raise another man's child if I hadn't already done that shit myself. I'm not gonna tell nobody to go do some shit that I'm not willing to do myself.
And let me ask you this, Valdez. Let me ask you this, Valdez, and then we're gonna go to Q. I said there's at least for viable black men, there's at least a 3-to-1 count of women that are unmarried and don't have kids. I said, how come you don't go deal with them? I get a whole lot of pushback and a whole lot of excuses.
But you know why? You know the reason why. Then this is the dirty little secret nobody wants to admit.
What's that?
Reason why they don't deal with those women who are single that don't have any children is because usually, not all the time, usually those are the women that are a little more disciplined. Those are the women that have their standards are a little bit higher, and see, it's easier to go fuck the baby mamas.
Exactly. Go ahead, Q. Jump in and Foxfire.
True. That is true.
What's so crazy is like we keep coming back over to this worthless vagina conversation, but nevertheless, it's like what are we going to do with that? Are we going to go create black friendswithbenefits.com with a $5,000-$10,000 between
I'll be there,
niggas ain't gonna pay for it.
Are we gonna? Well, yeah, but you're right. But my point is, I just want to bring us back to the understanding that our collective worth of 8 or 9 dudes plus chat room talking is more than this thing that bleeds once a month. Our whole thing is bigger and better. That we are just better than something that bleeds once a month. And I'm not hating on females when I say that. I'm saying I kind of want dudes to understand that we all going to get old one day, and 25% of us penises ain't gonna work. Another 25% is going to have some type of medical condition, and vagina is going to be the last thing on our mind. If we don't have some residual income coming in by the time we hit that mark, we're going to look like fools, wasting all that BGS time talking about vagina.
Check.
Hey, coming in.
Hey, Q, check this out. It's the last thing on my mind right now. And I ain't nothing but 39. Like, see, this is the whole reason why I say what I say. Like, you got a lot of brothers out here that they come into they put this into the aether. They want to talk about what women are not doing, this, that, and the third. And see, my thing is this: if men get on code, and I've said this so many times, and do what they're supposed to do, all that women shit fall in line. You may not believe it, but it will fall in motherfucking line.
I would agree. Go ahead, Foxfire, jump in. And we got about 15 more minutes, and I got to go.
Cool. I hear you. Yeah, I want to see the game tonight too. But yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what Q has said, and I think you always need to be upfront and above board with anybody that you're interacting with. I mean, part of being a man is keeping your word and standing on it. And so, you know, you go out how you came. You go out how you came in. So if you came in lying, if you came into the relationship with this woman lying, it's going to end on some lies too being discovered. My only issue is, I think, number one, I do think that there is a moral difference between a man who decides to remain childless and a man who decides to have kids and does not take care of them. Personally, I do.
I agree.
I do not think they're on the same moral plane.
I would agree with you.
As a man, you take care of what you created. Now, Obsidian, I have a problem with him trying to mix traditionalism and hedonism. I don't think you can be a fan of William F. Buckley and the Marquis de Sade at the same time, but that's a different story. But I do have an issue also with I don't know who's on here, but I can't. Somebody needs to mute themselves.
I got him. Go ahead.
Cool. But I personally, and at least the guys that I'm involved with, the guys in my age group, I don't see a lot of them going back to the hood and messing with Big Booty Brenda, honestly.
Hey, Foxfire,
that really does that.
Foxfire.
Go ahead.
That's the key. You don't see them.
Of course. Well, I mean, men talk now. Once again. Okay.
You find that out in a minute.
I know my own class better than you.
Look, Foxfire. It wouldn't be a big secret if everyone saw it.
It's called. You know what they call it? You know what they call it, Foxfire? They call it a solo mission.
Oh, now I know a whole lot of niggas that have done some wet work. Now, don't.
Oh yeah,
don't get it twisted. There's a lot of mercenaries out here.
It's a solo mission. It's when you become it's when you get covert like Jason Bourne. Goddamn.
But I think
I've never been to Raleigh, so I can't speak on Raleigh. But LA, with all these people, I see it all the time.
Well, I think one thing, Raleigh has a lot of urban professionals. There's a lot of HBCUs in the area. There's a lot of young people that are moving here. So you just get to at least I do. I get to interact with a lot of educated black women. A lot of them are really cool. So I don't have this issue. But also, I think it's a misnomer to think that all of these guys, a lot of whom were raised outside of the community, a lot of them who are uncomfortable in majority black spaces are also going down to the hood and tricking. A lot of these guys are afraid. Honestly, there's a lot of black men, quiet as kept, who are educated lames, who are just not comfortable around black folks.
Oh, well, I was saying the upscale black men that we were talking about do that, and then they are not afraid to go to the hood.
Well, I'm saying 80% is not doing that, man.
But see,
80% got too much going on.
Yeah.
80% got too much to lose.
I think it's a minority. I'm pretty sure that it's probably around like 10-20%.
Even Donald Trump got caught with a stripper with a hooker.
Donald Trump is a white billionaire. Donald. Let me tell you something. If you are a black man and you have worked yourself into a position to have any type of authority, any type of money, you got a whole lot to lose. A whole lot to lose. And a lot of niggas I know protect that like it's their life. For a lot of them it is.
When it comes to their dick,
all right, man.
To that penis.
You can get ass from upscale women. It's not like they're screwing too.
But you know what?
One time. I can only say what I've seen. Go ahead.
Hold on. You know what, Fox 5? I'm gonna tell you why you feel that way. It's real simple.
Interesting. Okay, go ahead.
It's because this is just a guess. Now, it's just my opinion, but it's because you're not engaging in that bullshit. I think that's why you feel that way.
I can speak to it because I engage in that bullshit. I be fucking these hoes. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you, bro. Don't lie to you.
Hey, I'm gonna get out of here.
Who said they one time.
Hey, I'm gonna get out of here.
Who hasn't got in? Who hasn't got in? Because I'm gonna about 2 more minutes.
Can I say this? I'm gonna say this when it comes to that shit. Number one, I worked in the police department for over a decade, and these guys make money. Overtime and base salary combined, they make bank. And the higher rank you go, the more bank you make. And guess what the number one target of police officers are? Big booty Keisha in the hood.
There you go.
So when you have upper echelon, not to throw people's names out of there because I still got to work at the bitch. Some people in higher command are known for being, the booty hunters in the community. So guess what? Who the hell is that?
I don't know.
Bro, your mic is all screwed up, man. We can't get you.
I think that's bro.
Yes, bro. Your mic is all screwed up. His mic is screwed up, and he's trying to talk, and his mic is screwed up. Go ahead, continue, Charles.
So a lot of that stuff, I've seen people who are elected officials, high-ranking people in the department, mess with girls that you would think in the hood. Guess what? It's not the fact that, a lot of dudes do it, especially when it's a status thing. Now that they...
Damn, dude.
Wait, hey, look, let me just say this because
real quick. Yeah, we only got about 5 more minutes.
Look, check this out. Above all that, man, what I see in medical and tech at night, I see a lot of dudes who they used to be something, and now they hit that medical part in their life where it ain't what it was, and they don't have certain things in place to keep them afloat when they thought that they had that John Q in insurance. So, even though we do talk about these females and vagina and what have you, I constantly see these females do okay going into their later years. And I'm constantly seeing a lot of these dudes who thought they was on point have one incident that put them under the barrel. So I'm just saying, man, beware of that, and also leave some type of land or property to your kids while y'all out there sticking all these chicks, so you can at least give your young little man a fight over these blue-eyed boys that's being born out here.
Yeah, because you can't pass you can't pass down no pussy.
We literally got the lowest amount of life insurance on the books for black people since I think like World War II. So you got people who don't even have enough money to bury themselves, let alone have something to pass down to the next generation.
Yeah, that's another policy.
But he did a lot of fucking though.
There's another policy-based discrimination. Black men are higher risk for insurance premiums. So I pay higher premiums more than any other group.
We do die sooner, so yeah. So we are a bigger risk. It is what it is.
That's why I had to change my insurance policy myself because of that reasons. Well, the job and also other shit. Because if you don't pay attention to those premiums and what your payout's gonna be, your family's gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would encourage anybody who's listening, if you work a job and they offer group insurance, you got group rates based on everybody that works there. Take out as much as you can. I'll say that.
That's true. Archer, you want to get in? I got about a few more minutes.
Yeah, I want to get. I got 2 questions. First one for Angry Man. You said that fucking the single mothers is the same thing as dating them. Now, if the dude is tricking how is buying a trick the same thing as being in a relationship, especially if the trick is a single mother? I don't see the connection there.
When did
you
I
saying these
say,
educated
when, hold on. When the fuck did I say that?
He never said that.
Well, maybe it was the whole panel. Maybe it was just the whole panel saying that these educated lames are going into the hood and spending money on the women and tricking.
Do you when you date? Do you not spend money on your girl?
Well, they're not. They're claiming that PK said he's not dating the girl. She's just sleeping with him. So I doubt he's spending that much money.
Here's the thing, Archie, because I saw somebody in the chat room say that same goofy shit, and I timed them out. I never said nothing about that was the same. That I didn't even make a statement even resembling that.
He said the exact opposite.
Said the exact opposite.
You know what I actually
okay,
did.
what's wrong? I got another
man.
We only got a couple of minutes. What's the second question?
What is code? Said we were talking about how we need to stay on code. What is code? What is going to be the code for black men? We never talked about that.
I'll let Valdez explain it since he's the one that said it.
Yo, being on code meaning number one, you focus on what a man is supposed to accomplish. Okay, whatever you say you live by, that's what you live by. So if you say, well, I'm not gonna deal with single mothers, you don't deal with single mothers. That's being on code. That's having a code. I can't date single mothers.
Can the man finish what he's saying? He's asked the question. I only got a few minutes.
See, I can't determine your individual code. If you're talking about a code that all black men live by, that's some shit we need to work on.
Okay, well, aren't you trying to determine PK's code?
The thing is, I don't like dishonesty. Saying that you don't deal or date with with single mothers and you fucking them is dishonest to me. It's dishonest to me. If you don't deal with single mothers, you don't deal with single mothers. I don't deal with married women. Okay, period. I don't date them. I don't fuck them. It should be obvious.
Yeah, let me ask.
If you claim it, that's your code. Live by it. Don't equivocate on your code. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Valdez.
Let me ask Archer. Let me ask Archer a real quick question because somebody else in the chat room said I did say it. Say that first question again, just one more time.
You want to repeat my first question?
Yeah, say it again.
My first question was: are you connecting educated lames going back to the hood and sneaking out of these women's house after paying for the pussy to them being able to go in and have a relationship with the woman?
No, I never said that. What I said is these dudes who are going in there are giving these women hope that there's a possibility for a relationship, but they're just going in there like they're dealing with prostitutes. They might as well just deal with a prostitute. That's what I said.
As a matter of fact, let me add this
real quick. We got about 2 minutes.
If you are paying for it, that's even worse because you're encouraging their fucking behavior. You're actually encouraging the fucking dysfunction by paying for it.
You're making her a prostitute.
You're enabling her. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah,
but she's being enabled anyway. She's being enabled by this whole society.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Cerulli. So in other words, if you say you buy the hot shit from say Valdez back in the day, right? He's selling. He wasn't boosting the shit, but he was selling some boosted shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, wherever it is, say Jordans, okay. You're buying boosted Jordan. Are you contributing to the problem by buying the boosted Jordans, even though you're not stealing it? Are you same thing? By you paying for it. Doesn't whether she's corrupted or not. You're contributing to the goddamn problem. Are you not?
Yes, you are. But by that argument, going to the strip club is also contributing to the problem.
Well, you shouldn't go to the strip club if that's your code, should you? I'm not saying what your code.
No, but
so I'm not saying what I'm not saying what your code should be, but stop coming in here bullshitting about your code. If that's your code, live by it and be honest about it. That's all I'm saying. Stop coming in here with bullshit.
Sounds like everyone's trying to find something.
I don't deal with single mothers. I don't date single ones, but I fuck them. Bullshit. Give me a break.
It sounds like everyone's
I got a question.
It just sounds ridiculous.
It sounds like everyone's trying to find some kind of loophole in order to still take part in the dysfunction, but claim
to be above it.
I have clean hands. I'm a Pharisee. I got clean hands, even though I'm taking money on the goddamn side. Go ahead, PK. You got the final say. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. I think that you guys made some good points here tonight. You know, every man lives by his own code. Don't forget it. You know, just because you feel one certain type of way and you have your own outlook, I think we all got our own. You know what I mean? It's just that simple.
Closing thought, Foxfire, real quick.
No, I think this was a productive discussion, and I'd like to do it again. But I think we all have to be honest about everybody's culpability. That includes Ray Ray and Pookie, and that includes Educated Lames and Classic Men. Everybody needs to participate in rebuilding the community.
That's all I want. Be honest, and so we can actually fix this shit. Sulin, closing thought, real quick.
I have no closing thoughts.
Go get some sleep, man. All right, folks. Choose. You got a closing thought, real quick? No. All right. I'm gonna bounce. A lot longer than I actually thought it would be, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time.
Later, fellas. Go Blue.
Never could have gave Jabari's money.
Y'all ain't shit. Peace.